Salutations, everybody. It is Matty here today with episode 187 of the H.A.M Radio Podcast.
And it's me, Karak with ACG.
I saw you trying to hold back that laugh. What the?
I was this entire time, I don't want to say what happened, but something hilarious with the dogs happened. Continue. I apologize.
All right, go for it, Cowboy.
And I am Fighting Cowboy, back for round 2 Electric Boogaloo on the podcast.
Yes, indeed.
This time, Cowboy's out for some revenge. You know, last time the mic really wasn't having it, but we got that one all set up. We're good now, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, we are no longer potato mode.
Very important stuff. Cowboy, what are you working on lately? Any big projects on the horizons? Any games you're looking forward to playing? Let us know.
We have Sekiro coming up, which is, going to be the new love child of Miyazaki. So I think everyone's definitely getting hyped for that.
Even with
if I had to pick one thing. I from what I've heard, they're supposed to be pretty hands off, so I'm gonna keep my faith in Miyazaki.
Matty can't stop though, Cowboy. He's got to mention the Activision. Did you notice that?
No.
Yeah. What about Activision?
So you have to interject, interrupt. Go for it. Keep going. Sorry.
I think Activision will stay hands off because otherwise the Japanese fan base will absolutely crucify them. That's a big market they can't piss off. So you think about it, loot boxes and all the scummy shit Activision does. We see that a lot in the Western audience, but from what I understand, it's not as big overseas. And so if they try to pull the same shenanigans, I think we're going to see some real big backlash.
Interesting. That's actually not a point I considered. Cool. That's Sekiro's in March, right? Middle of March, I think?
Yeah.
Pretty close. Be serious. Be very
curious
coming up to see how that winds up. I mean, it looks cool, gameplay-wise, what I've seen. It looks awesome.
I'm just interested to see what they do with a single-player experience, because part of Souls is, you have to balance it around multiplayer. So, spells can't be too overtuned. Certain things have to be, kept within the sphere realm of keep it balanced for everybody. Encounters are balanced around having potentially 3 people in, and they're getting a chance to make a solo balanced experience, more God of War, if you will. So I'm curious to see what happens.
Yeah, guess we'll see in due time. As always, if you guys would like to support the show, you can head over to our patreon.com/MrMattyPlays. You can flick a buck.
Flick a buck. Whoa, sorry.
Oh, man. Whoa, Karak was out of it there, man.
I was trying to find something for you, but I can't find it. Continue.
No, you're good. I stuttered while doing my link anyway, so that was just a really jumbled one. But anyway, if you do want to flick a buck, you can go ahead, do that on the Patreon. Early access to the show. You also get Patreon-exclusive videos, Discord access, which is the best part, I always say. So go ahead and get involved in our community. Karak has one as well. Cowboy, do you have a Patreon?
I do not.
Subscribe to the Cowboy on Twitch. Yeah, I could.
Yeah, sure, why not?
Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, throw him a free Twitch Prime sub. And with all of that out of the way, now we can get into the first news bit, which is about Anthem. So this weekend is the VIP beta for Anthem. I was actually over time building a little bit of anticipation for this game because when I saw IGN first gameplay, I thought, hey, this looks like a fun time. A lot of the animations look slick. It looked fun to be a part of. It reminded me a bit of when I first saw Destiny. I'm talking, I think that was back in 2013, I want to say, where the gameplay was really smooth and it looked like something we hadn't seen much of in the past. So when I really took a deep dive into Anthem, I started to like what I saw and was looking forward to playing this beta. But now, at this point in time, when we record the podcast on Friday, there's going to be a reason we're not headlining this in our titles because this is subject to change. But at the moment, there's been some real big problems when it comes to the beta and people even getting into play. Now, I think a lot of us expected, like with any big online launch, to be a little bit of server issues off the bat. I think the only game that launched server-wise on launch day recently that I can think of and didn't have a ton of disconnects from my experience was actually Fallout of all games. But I mean, it had enough beta time, I think, to iron that out. But what do you guys think right now of the start of the Anthem beta? I know, Cowboy, you were getting into it with some people on Twitter about the status of this launch. So I want to hear from you first, man.
Oh, this happens.
Go for it one more time. You were cutting out.
Oh, no. No, don't tell me.
No, you're good now. We're
good? Okay. I was about to say, no, not like this. No, but so this happens with every single launch. and that everyone becomes an expert. Everyone's an expert on how to code in game servers. And the reality is, they're not going to quadruple their server load just for a test, because peak launch hours are obviously going to be different from concurrent. And you don't want to multiply your server size just to downsize it and then run into that potential issue. So this is to be expected. This is, run of the mill for demos, run of the mill for betas. I mean, I can't think of a launch where I actually was there the first minute, got in a game without issue. And I understand people are a little upset, but as far as I'm concerned, it's gamer entitlement, man. People they want, I paid $60 for this game. I expect my beta access now. I know EA gets a lot of shit, but these people are expecting EA to spoon speed them a perfect experience right off the bat. And it's this is the purpose of demos and betas, is to work this shit out so that at launch it's not a problem. Now, to be fair, if this happens at launch, after happening now, and then potentially happening next week during the open beta, then I think there's a problem. So it's all right, you've had 2 chances to iron things out. Why is this still happening? But as a first reaction being burn the company, it's too much.
Yeah, see, my thought was more so that I always expect these beta issues because it gives companies a good excuse to earn some good PR by saying, we've extended the beta. Here's another weekend to play. Stuff like that.
That's what my tweet was about.
Yeah.
The exact same thing.
Right? I didn't see that, but, I feel like that's where they're going with it. They'll iron it out. BioWare's been about good PR as of lately. I've covered that a bit on the channel, when they said that the point of the demo is because your money's hard-earned. That's why they did it. Let's be honest, I think there is some goodwill in there, but I think part of it's also just to test the game. It makes the most sense for an online product to avoid issues like Cowboy said at launch, such as these. But I wouldn't be too surprised if we saw, because this is the VIP beta, the one that you have to pre-order to get in. So you're either putting $5 down at a local store and going through the whole process to get your code there, or there are people who've paid $60 off the bat because they just want to buy and play Anthem, and their money's already out there. So BioWare, I imagine, will feel the need and more than likely will extend the beta, whether it's during the weekdays or if they maybe just carried off into the weekend for another day or two. Right now, I'm personally unsure of, or maybe they just do it for another weekend before launch. I don't know how many weekends we have till Anthem, because I know it comes out after all the games that happen before, right? On the 15th of February, where it's a flurry of games, and I think the week after is Anthem. So,
and I got a list here. I'll check.
Yeah, let me know. I think there would be time for them to squeeze in one more beta if they have to.
Yeah, we got Anthem on the 22nd, and the big flurry is the week before on the 15th. 15th is Crackdown, Dead or Alive, Far Cry, Jump Force, Metro. So they have a solid week before everything. Right.
Okay, so I think that would put them, because those games come out on a Tuesday, so that would put the weekend before Anthem. Would it be interesting to see BioWare say, hey, we've added another beta, it's the weekend before the game comes out, progress carries over. That'd be interesting to see. And I think I wouldn't be too surprised if that was their response to this, because I think it would earn some goodwill, and people would be like, yeah, Anthem, which is what they're really trying to do with this game. Every step of the way, it's always been forget Andromeda, forget Inquisition. Yeah, now BioWare. Let's go BioWare kind of thing. So they're trying to win consumers over in any way. But Karak, what do you think about this?
I mean, the biggest issue, I was talking to some people from a website who track this kind of thing, and they were saying the biggest issue is it's really regardless of whether they know there's going to be an issue or not. The VIP beta is the purchase beta, which means they knew the server number load, the max server number load it could be. And especially when you talk to developers, they never want a negative experience, ever. It never pays off, even though I was joking about it on my Twitter and saying that this was all on purpose, and it was sort of a strategic issue. But overall, I would say that they're certainly not happy, especially when they had the 4 major Twitch streamers stop streaming midstream and just say, we're fucking done. That was 100,000 watchers at that time. And that was live during the thing, and they were contacted to stream this. I don't think EA would have said, hey guys, we want you to stream this, but we're going to fuck it up. Yeah. Or we know it's going to, know there's going to be an issue.
I should clarify just in case. I don't think it's a conspiracy theory.
Yeah, no. Right, I don't, and I'm not saying that. We were joking about it. But I think that I get where people come from because they paid money and this is a VIP demo. So it carries a different connotation to it than a normal demo does. I know personally for myself, not only was it difficult to get into, but it's pretty ragged, like overall, which then you look at a month, you think gold certification, then you also think Premier. Remember, this is coming out for Premier members 10 or 7 days before, 7 or 10, whatever it comes out early for them versus normal consumers. And you're actually getting quite close to the repeat of the Crew 2 beta, which was not a beta. They said it was, but it was not a beta. It was actually the final, and they lied. And so what I think a lot of people are nervous is that we're getting so close now up to these release dates that not a lot can change. Server numbers, I'm okay with. I think you're going to see some fluctuations, people not being able to log in. But what I was seeing inside the game, that was more disturbing to me this morning when I was playing it. That was actually far more worrisome than the people not being able to log in, was what I was seeing once I did get in and trying to figure out, can they adjust their post-processing, to do this or that? Can they optimize this or that? So in the end, though, it's not going to matter till it comes out. It still sucks. Like, anybody who's mad, I'm like, I get you. But at the same time, it's not out yet. So
makes me wonder.
Once it comes out.
Yeah, there are plenty of gamers who are most excited for Anthem. That's their title. They're looking forward to different walks of life. Totally get it. I just feel like with so much other cool stuff coming out, too, that I would not have ended up reserving my weekend solely for the Anthem beta. Even as someone who is, or I keep calling it the beta, demo. Because there's a whole difference on that.
Oh, so do I. Sorry. Yeah,
No. But it's totally normal because nowadays everything is a beta because it's like that sizzle word in marketing, and so demo. It's actually kind of refreshing to be able to call something a demo. But I feel like even if I were a huge Anthem fan and it was the one game I was looking forward to, that I would have made time for Resi 2. I absolutely would have because it just got out of this world reviews, and then you see Kingdom Hearts 3. Out of this world reviews that has a really large fan base. So I just feel like, especially if the open beta is next week, and as I said, I believe it is a very safe assumption that they're going to extend the beta at some point in time. We've seen so many. I don't remember the last beta that came out where they don't go, and we're now going to extend it an extra couple of days because you asked so much, and it's
and here's your juicy fruit skin for trying to sign in and not being able to.
Yeah. Here's a cool cosmetic for being a part of the beta. It's like, all right, guys, thanks. But, so I guess I wouldn't personally react as hard. I know people think, I despise modern BioWare. I'm really more so willing to give Anthem a chance because the rumor is, like, this is their A-team. This is the A-team. This is the one that makes the really good stuff. So, I'm reserving my opinion, and I'm not trying to blast them every step of the way unless given real reason to. And for me, personally, I guess, I didn't have my weekend reserved for Anthem, so it wasn't like I'm really too upset about it.
I'll blast them. I'll replace you then.
By all means.
You want me to replace you? Well, dude, they should have called it a fucking beta, right?
Right.
Instead of the demo, because a demo does indicate a finished product sliced out of something. That's usually what a demo indicates.
They said it
Not
went
always.
gold, right? Recently.
They did. Even though, let's be honest, digital gold and real gold are, when it comes to certification process are different. But
right.
You're out, like, so I think what happens is you and I are both we're either neutral to BioWare or maybe on the negative side, depending on what they might release and how they're doing it. What I feel with Anthem is if any company should have got it right on their fucking VIP demo, it was these guys. And that's the thing that's really nerve-wracking to me. If they called it a beta, then it would be, even just terminology-wise, would be a different situation. But it's called a demo, and people expect something. Bad PR is something I'm getting accustomed to now, where somebody uses the wrong explanation for something. Look at Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hey, it's about choice, but there's no choice.
Because, like, on one hand, I very much agree. I feel this is a beta. They wanted to go with demo because beta's had a lot of negative connotation to it just lately with, early access and the beta version, and people are tired of it. They expect a half-assed product, whereas, like you said, demo refers to something that's more finished. But on the other hand, I mean, when you look at what they're trying to do, they're trying to create, the persistent world, the hubs and all that. BioWare doesn't really have that background at all.
Yeah.
And while EA, I mean, I'm not throwing them any bones here. EA is a huge company. They should have had their shit right. But the closest thing I think they have to this many concurrent people would probably be Battlefield. I mean, you don't see numbers like this on Madden or FIFA or The Sims. So to an
Knights of the Old
extent,
Republic, right?
yeah, it kind of is their first rodeo in a while of, making I don't want to say a Destiny game, but it's a giant open world where everybody's logged in.
Yeah.
I do think it's an oversight. They should, I mean, like you said, they did have the numbers. They should have planned for it, but I can't really say I'm that surprised, knowing that they were, it's like the first time they've tried to do something like this in God knows how many years,
I guess I always personally, maybe my disappointment is less than others because I always expect this every time a online beta of any kind happens. I always expect it. So when I don't set time aside for it. If it works out, it works out. I remember like with the Fallout 76 beta, it worked fine for me. That was cool. Black Ops 4's Blackout beta, that worked fine for me. So it was all right, cool. But I definitely was not reserving time for it in the sense of my day was solely based around it, because 9 times out of 10, or in this case 8 times out of 10, they're not going to work. They're going to fail somehow, and it's going to get delayed. So I guess I don't know if part of its expectations as well, would you guys say? I'm not trying to take any heat off of EA. I'd be the last person to do so. But do you think that expectations might have been in the wrong place too, that Anthem was going to come out and have the beta right immediately? Now, this is without considering, I guess, the idea that they had known, okay, based off these pre-orders here, we know we have 1.2 million players possibly coming into this beta. The other thing, though, is that I think to tack onto that point, is that when you get a VIP code, you can refer up to 3 friends who then can get access to the beta. So when we look at what Cowboy had said about how, well, they could increase the server load, but then they'd have to downsize it again, then if they looked at those numbers and anticipated, okay, if every single one of these people did 3 friends, then we'd have up to 5 point something million. But let's say only a couple people do that, and some people do 2, some people do 3, some people don't do it at all, then maybe we should sit around the 2 million mark. So I feel like it was uncertain. They just had to guesstimate for the server. So that's why I said, do you think expectations might have been a bit out of place with this one, or what?
Well, I think also, I mean, they made a website, Refer a Friend, where you go and enter the code. That means they had to fucking spend who knows how many hundreds of thousands of dollars putting the back end for referring friends and all this stuff. At some point, you have to say your preparation then was in the wrong fucking spot. Your preparation should have been in getting the people who paid for it actually able to play your game, because those are the ones who are going to get more mad. My friend who I give a code to, fuck him, right? That doesn't bother me if he can't play, but I can't. Then that's an issue. And they worked up to that. They don't just, the Refer a Friend website and all of the back-end infrastructure didn't magically happen. They had to build that and plan around that. So my assumption is they were still planning for, the max amount. They could have planned for half, but I think almost all the time they're still, they're going to shoot for as many as they can and a preparation for as many as they can. I don't know if expectations are too high, but I think we all have experiences different. So you and I have been through this. Oh, and Cowboy, I've been through this a long time, but I have a friend who's only 21. And he has no clue why Anthem's not working. Because he's brand new to gaming. He has absolutely there's no drawn history, there's no nothing. So to him, when you enter into gaming and you pay your money, you expect to get something back. It's not working, and you're like, what the fuck is going on? And I will say, especially console owners.
Yeah.
I think we can all agree, console owners really do expect things to work a little better because it's a solitary platform.
It's literally like it's just.
And PC owners, we're used to it, right? Like we're used to, like, you've got a PC with this graphics card and I've got the same one, but we're getting 20 frames difference on the FPS, and we're like, what the hell's happening? We're accustomed to it, I think, a little bit more. I think probably we're seeing a lot of console owners more than. I could be wrong, but it feels like a lot of console owners would be more apt to complain.
Because, and I don't think this makes anything factual, but when I actually did see a stream live for Anthem, I realized, IGN's streaming it. Let's see what it's looking like. Maybe they're just sitting at the menu. It'd be interesting. And when I clicked on it and I was watching, he mentioned something about how the keyboard and mouse controls felt nice. So he was playing on PC. I don't know if that, do you think, because I didn't took a deep dive into it. I just saw people kind of bitching on the TL on Twitter. But do you think that maybe this is something that pertains to one platform or another? Like most of
No, I think it's all of them.
Playing around console.
No, it's
I
all
think it's all of them. Yeah.
It's all of them. Okay.
I think the problem is like Karak said, they have the numbers, and I guess part of this is just me being disillusioned to it at this point.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I in a perfect world, yeah, they should have, doubled server size for whatever the max possible is. But I've just been through so many releases at this point and seen this so many times. I mean, World of Warcraft. I have friends that are like, oh yeah, the new expansion's launching, let's stay up. And I'm like, I'll play it on Sunday when it's
right.
So I'm used to it. So it's like,
that.
on one hand, it is bullshit that they didn't have their servers ready to go, that they didn't have the number they needed. And at the same, I feel like I just accept it because that's become the norm of the industry, which is kind of sad when you think about it.
You know what else is a little weird is the fact that, in a way, this is, bear with me, people who are going to get mad instantly, this is sort of a good thing because I don't think any company wants to have this issue on day one. So what's cool is it's happening now. It sucks. And we're going to report it and people are going to be mad about it. But I bet you on day one, they're like, oh, fuck. Because that company, of all the companies, does not want another problem right now.
Yeah.
Like, them and, there's a couple companies that don't want problems, but they're one of them. And I really do feel that it focuses everybody in a team, too. And everybody on the outside's looking, going, what the fuck? And people are like, okay, we do need to make sure on day one, when people sign into Premiere and they get it early, that fucking thing works. And doesn't have these connection issues. So in a weird way, it's sort of cool that it's happening now and they don't rest on their laurels and go, okay, it's working. And then, they work on other stuff and we get in there and no one can connect. So sort of a weird way to look at it, but it's the only positive I can take from it.
Right on. All right. Well, hopefully, as this episode goes live, Anthem sorted out, and these are just a post-mortem on the Anthem beta struggles. But what won't be out soon is Metroid Prime 4. So Nintendo released a development update on YouTube. It was a video that disabled comments too because they expected a huge blowback, which most folks were actually almost all folks I saw were very understanding about the delay for Metroid. They announced that the entire development of Metroid Prime 4 had been scrapped. So the game is gone. And they are restarting with Retro Studios, who I believe formerly had developed the previous Metroid Prime games. So, now I've only played Metroid Prime 1. The reason I did not go back now and play 2 and pretty much any other Metroid game was because I know that Nintendo has a Metroid Prime trilogy of some kind sitting there. And I've seen so many other content creators connected to Nintendo talk about it. Spawnwave. I've seen Liam Robertson talk about it. How there is a Metroid Prime trilogy ready for Switch. It's coming out sometime in the first half of 2019. That's what everyone's saying. It seems to be the rumor. It was supposed to be announced in December, but no one knew why it wasn't announced in December. Now we know why, because probably the studio, Retro Studios, who people were like, why are they not working on it in the first place? They were probably working on the trilogy, getting that functioning, and now they're moving on to the new version of Metroid Prime 4. That's at least my guess here. But what do you guys think about this delay? Good news for the game? Good news for gamers, maybe? Thoughts on Metroid Prime in general? Fire away. Whoever wants to
Go
start.
ahead, Cowboy.
I think it's good news, man. Anytime a game gets delayed like this, another good example is Code Vein. Like, I've been waiting for that. That was supposed to drop back in September, and a lot of people were upset. Like, we still don't have a date on it, but I'd rather a game take an extra year and be an amazing product than get it now and have it be a steaming pile of shit. And so, it's not the first time we've seen this where I was looking forward to the Phantom Dust remaster, and Microsoft basically just scrapped it because stuff came down the grapevine that apparently the studio that was making it was putting together what was basically a pile of shit. And imagine if we had the new Metroid Prime 4 came out, but it was nothing that people expected. It was a complete departure from the series. It, controls were wonky. It didn't follow the story, whatever the case is. There would be outrage. So while it sucks to see that it got canceled, at least we know it's back in, it's in the hands of the creator, and we can just hope that they're going to do right by the series and make something that we will enjoy when we eventually get it.
Right on. What about you, Karak?
No, I agree. I think it's the best out of a bad situation. This is their version of Scalebound all of a sudden, except with Scalebound, Microsoft didn't continue with Platinum, and this is a total different company. I think it's fine. I think that's what happens sometimes, and you have to understand a company basically got 50% of the way through and said, "Fuck, we're not going the other 50%." That takes a shit ton of balls.
Yeah.
To just be like in the current situation where a demo is not working, we're in a current situation of all these game companies doing all this crazy shit. Nintendo just puts their foot down and says, "Fuck it, scratch it." Microsoft is very good about this as well. Both of these companies are like, let's cut that out, and maybe they have to. Maybe they're not like Sony where they can, maybe they do need that success. I don't think they do, but certainly not Nintendo. But I think it makes sense. It's Metroid Prime. Do we want another fucking Master Chief Collection bullshit edition again? Like taking the main IP from a company and just gutting it and destroying like any goodwill people had towards Halo. Like what a abomination of a release. What if Prime had done that? What if Nintendo had come out and said, "Oh, here's the game. It is a departure," like you said, and it wasn't good. That would have been a far bigger issue, I think, for Nintendo than if they scrap it. We are waiting 2 years, of course, now, which sucks. 2.5 probably for the next.
I thought it'd be longer than that. 2.5 years. That's.
I would
short.
assume that that is very short, but I would assume that there will be some reuse of assets and stuff. Most likely, they're going to take the assets from the other game. Now, they may scrap it and say we're starting all over, and then you possibly see 3 or 4, but then you might look at the Switch's predecessor at that point. If we're talking, don't you guys believe that by 2023 or 24, we'll probably have already heard, if not already owned, Switch 2s? Or do you guys not?
I feel
maybe
like
I'm wrong
next
on that.
year we're going to see an upgraded version of the
Switch.
Switch.
So I'm sort of wondering about that too. But it could be backwards compatible.
Yeah. I mean, hopefully by that point I can just plug something into the back of my head and go full
right.
Sword Art
You're
Online
a VR
mode.
fan like me, maybe? No. Yeah, for sure, dude. For sure.
Yeah, I personally have not played a lot of the Metroid Prime series, but have either of you? You guys like it a lot?
I've never
They're
really
amazing.
gotten too heavy into it. I played through 1, played a little bit of 2, but it's never... Until the Switch, I was always kind of a meh Nintendo fan. Like, I grew up with the 64, but through the whole Nintendo's puberty phase with the Wii and all that, I kind of just shunned them away.
What about you, Karak?
No, I'm identical. The Switch, Skyrim, and a couple other games got me to really like the Switch. I was not a huge Nintendo fan. I didn't have a Wii U at all. I had a Wii because friends would come over. N64 because I think just because.
Everybody had Smash.
Yeah. It was almost like when somebody said, "Do you not have an N64?" And you're like, "Well, you got it." And then I never played it. I played the other systems, whether it be Sega or whether it be PlayStation. Yeah. So to me, this is it's like my first really deep, other than the SNES, it's my first really super deep dive into a console from them.
Yeah, now you guys mention it, probably my deepest dives were the DS.
Right.
N64,
no, you're right. I had a DS, yeah.
And GameCube for sure.
Yeah.
I
had a DS, but I feel like
but I played a lot of GameCube games there. So it's like
GameCube, Eternal. What was that? They had Eternal Darkness. Is that what it was called? That was the one where you could you went crazy over time. Made by the guys who made Too Human. What other games they have on the
never heard of
GameCube?
that one.
They had Smash.
They had Smash and they had X-Wing, right? Didn't they have that amazing Rebel Assault game or whatever? They had. I thought they had 2, Star Wars games. The two amazing flight.
I never played Star Wars on my GameCube. Now that you mention it, I always played that on my original Xbox or my PS2.
Oh,
yeah, man.
Battlefront. Those Battlefront games. Yeah.
I remember Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah.
There was that launch game that came with the original Xbox that had Tetris and Star Wars something, but it was pretty much a vehicle-based game. And then there was one arena mode where you'd go into the Geonosis arena, and you just have a lightsaber and you could run around and kill Geonosians, which is pretty cool.
Oh,
yeah.
I don't even remember that.
Yeah,
That's cool.
It was one of the coolest discoveries I ever made in a game. I still to this day because it was completely
awesome.
different from the rest of the entire title. Republic Commando is another one that comes to mind.
Yeah.
I don't remember ever playing a GameCube game that had Star Wars on it. But I think I know what you're talking about, like Rebel Assault or Galactic Assault. It was like a Starfighter game, right?
Yep.
Okay.
I'm looking it up. Star Wars. Yeah, it was.
I think it was on PS2.
Rogue Leader. That's
Never
what it was.
played it.
Rogue. Yeah, they had Star Wars Rogue Squadron 2, Rogue Leader, and Star Wars Rogue Squadron 1, I believe, and both of those were GameCube, and they're considered even now like two of the premier Star Wars games. They're pretty much my only my only.
Yeah, I have
history with
I have. That's what it is on PS2. I tried for the first time like 3 years ago. I think it was called Jedi Starfighter. And
Yeah.
I played it with split screen with a friend. Oh my god, it barely fucking ran. It was so bad. It was
Split
so
screen,
bad.
baby.
Yeah,
Console split screen.
Yeah, it was not a good time.
Did either one of you guys play the Pod Racer one? Star Wars Pod Racer?
No, only type of
No?
racing I ever did was swoop racing and KotOR.
Swoop Racer, you nerd.
Yeah, I know, right?
Me too, though.
I don't remember. There was one on, I think it was on N64. I don't remember. It was like supposed to be basically what would have been around episode 7, and you played a bounty hunter. And I remember there was a mission where you had to swing one of the planes around and tangle up the legs of like the AT Walker. And then I remember there being some robot bounty hunter that would just beat your ass. It took me like 6 hours to beat it, and I'm pretty sure my brain just like got rid of most of the memories after that. I don't,
Funny what the brain does to protect itself.
Yeah, exactly. It's like trauma. Did you guys, either one of you guys, play Unleashed? The Star Wars.
I like those.
I thought they.
I love
Yeah,
those
I
games.
thought they
Even
were
the second
pretty
one.
enjoyable.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
They're just satisfying to play. Like, I know that people
Yep.
have qualms with the story and the length of the games, but I always thought that the force powers and seeing Euphoria in action with Star Wars was always
oh yeah.
Wasn't that
fucking
insane?
awesome. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You played those games to basically just break stuff and beat up people. Like that's what made it fun. I didn't come for the story.
Yeah, same. I couldn't tell you a thing other than the main character's name is Starkiller. That was probably
And
where
that
it ended.
actor does a D&D game with Freddie Prinze Jr. that is hilarious. He
Sam-
DMs a game.
I forget
Sam
his-
Witwire? Something like Witwire. He does, but you're right, it is a Sam. And he does a D&D game with Freddie Prinze Jr. and a couple of his friends, and it is fucking hilarious, man. It is so awesome to watch. I like it. I'm sort of nerdy like that. I like it when an actor who, is in a game, you find out that they're actually a gamer. It's such a dumb thing to care about, but I always love when you find out that, somebody
Well, it's
somebody
like-
likes the actual
See, I wouldn't
thing.
call it dumb because I feel it indicates as if when I'm talking to a level designer that they don't go into work, design levels, and then come home and do whatever, but they actually play games still because it
Yeah.
shows a investment in what they love to do, that they can play it for that long, or in Sam's case, voice it for so long and still come home and want to play stuff that involves it. Sometimes you just want to mentally detach from anything involving that thing you're constantly doing. So I think it shows a level of passion, interest, enjoyability, or enjoyment in what they're doing.
I don't care. That's a perfect word, though. I'm going to start using that. Enjoyability.
Yeah.
That's amazing,
I
man.
almost made it up right on the spot. I was like,
No, you did. We're going to go with that. I love it. I love
I
it.
was like, enjoyment. Let's stick with real words. That's how cool it is, right? You gotta make up words for it. That's when you know. All right, moving on to the next travesty. Just really wasn't a good week when you think about it. We've got Star Wars KotOR news, and not the good kind. So, a couple months ago, we found out that the fan remake was shut down. That was sad, but now we've learned that BioWare and EA have throughout multiple times tried to make KotOR 3. Now, this was coming from a tweet from Jason Schreier where he just responded to someone who was talking about how, man, it'd be cool to see another KotOR, and all he said was, I know that they've tried multiple times. We've heard about, in the past, KotOR has been attempted, but we didn't know it was a multiple occasion thing where BioWare kept knocking at the door. Now, Jason Schreier caught wind of the stories being made of this through various press sites, YouTube videos. I made one. I know Young Yeah made one. He called out Young Yeah, naturally. And so, what's it called? Pretty much tried to clarify stuff that was already in Young's video, but the gist here is that it wasn't just EA blocking off the making of KotOR 3 and that there are multiple things that could have been considered for why this game has yet to be made here, but pretty much all he knew is that there was a prototype from BioWare Austin that was pitched, and then that was put on stasis, and then there was also a PowerPoint presentation from some of the leads at BioWare talking about what their KotOR 3 would be. And Jason has suggested it could be not just EA's lack of interest in single-player games, not just that they want people to pay through the services, but also it could be BioWare said, hey, we can make this cool game for $100 million, and EA's like, we only got 50 for you, and there's just an impasse there, that EA just didn't like what they saw, that the pitches weren't good, that the game wasn't good, and so on. What do you feel, Karak, we'll start off with you, about these KotOR rumors? Are you bummed that a KotOR 3 is not happening at this moment in time? Are you a little bit relieved until after we see Anthem and we can decide if that's this news is a little more depressing or not?
Well, and also as a Jade Empire fan, they've tried that a couple times and it didn't work out. And I was so I think you recently played Jade Empire, like it was in the last
year, yeah,
last 2 years. Okay, yeah. So you've played that, and yeah, it sucks. But I also do believe that in about 3 to 5 years, Disney and EA most likely won't have that partnership, and we're going to start hearing more about a lot of this being on Disney's side. And I really do believe that, especially when you look at how Disney handled their own game division and canceled their own Star Wars with Disney Infinity 2, which was based completely and solely around Star Wars, at least in its main story stages. And they canceled it and fired everybody in one day with no warning. And I think that they must have an issue both with EA but also with Disney, where, and the money thing, that's completely makes sense. Like, each reason it gets failed is probably a different one, but it feels to me like we also will find out that Disney is just difficult to work with. I don't know if they understand games. I really don't.
I don't think they do.
I'm starting to realize that when you look at their past history, Disney Infinity was massive for a while. They fired everybody. They got rid of everybody, gutted that entire division. It makes me sort of feel that they're just concentrating TV shows. The Mandalorian's coming out. They're just concentrating on the movies. They don't have a game person there. So if EA says, hey, $100 million can make you an amazing game, maybe Disney's the one saying, well, we don't really want this. It just doesn't work for us, or what have you. I don't know, but it just feels like it's not all within BioWare and even EA. It feels like it's bigger than that.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Cowboy?
It's actually an interesting point because, I mean, I've more leaned on the side of, you know, EA is a disaster as usual, and the problem here is Disney just needs to take the contract away. But now that you mention it, the problem might be that Disney just doesn't know games. I mean, so it kind of calls into question, like, where is it going to go? I mean, obviously what's happening now isn't working. That much is clear. But whether it's Disney giving the contract to somebody else or Disney getting a wake-up call, them saying, hey, this is not how things work. You need to, you needed to wake up and smell the roses. I guess that remains to be seen. But I mean, it's obvious that there is an appeal for like an open world style Star Wars game, whether it's going to be KotOR 3 or something else. Like, fans obviously want this. It would sell well. Maddie, I know you would probably lock yourself in a room for a week and a half and play it.
That's being generous.
Yeah. But I mean, it's one of those things, like, this has been an ongoing problem for what seems like years now. And I mean, either, everyone's head is up their ass, or they're just ignoring the problem. Because, like, to take a look at all the controversy we had with Battlefront 2, like, you can't possibly go, well, I guess it's working. So I don't know if it's contractual issues and it's just Disney is looking at it and going, well, to break this contract would put us out this much. Let's just roll with it for now and make the best of that situation, or what the deal is. It's just, it's just one of those. The whole thing is just a shit sandwich. Like, nothing about it is good. And in the end, it's just the fans that are being punished because they want a game and they're being, it's like that Geico commercial with the guy that has the dollar and the fishing string, except you're dangling a Star Wars game in front of fans and continually taking it away. Yeah.
Cowboy, are you a fan of Games Workshop at all? The Warhammer 40,000? Is that no. Too nerdy for you? Okay.
I wouldn't say it's too nerdy for me. I mean, I live and breathe Magic the Gathering. It's just a different side of nerdom. But
yeah. So this is what happened with Games Workshop. They actually had issues where they had a couple developers doing games and it wasn't working out. Then they let everybody do them. Then it wasn't working out. Then they let a couple, and in the end, it was tracked down to being Games Workshop having the issue. They just didn't know how to handle games, and because they were attracting they were attracting people who were in the board game industry to run their video game division, which is a disaster. Maybe less so now, because video games in a way are sort of like board games now. But yeah, it's interesting. There's a parallel there for sure of Games Workshop, which is a massive company. I mean, they're fucking huge. And look at Gears of War. It is quite literally fans of Warhammer 40,000 making characters that look like they're from Warhammer 40,000 in their own game. Yeah. And it's made me wonder, if there's like multiple issues overlapping each other. And the thing that you said about Geico, that you hope the fisherman though at some point goes, fuck, I'm not catching anything. Right? Like that's the next step in the conversation. If you're not getting to grab it and they're not catching anything, one of you motherfuckers needs to sit down and say, this is not working. I just hope to God at the end of this they just let it go with EA and they just split, and then we can really see who's the issue.
I think we're going to sooner than later.
I do too. I do too.
To tack on to your point, I think you open up the door on something. I don't think it's a coincidence that the only Star Wars games that have gone out the door are all service to some extent or have microtransactions on some level. We have Battlefront 1 and 2. We have Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, which is microtransaction up the ass. And then you also have Star Wars The Old Republic, which is a good MMO, but there is a subscription fee attached to that if you want access to a lot of abilities and parts of the game. And I'm not saying that some of those aren't worth it, but especially off the bat with the way that they were happy with launching Battlefront 2, I think it speaks to that Disney and EA have to see eye to eye on something, which is, that'll make us a lot of money, I feel. Where, I would be totally not shocked if this ends up being Disney just not getting games, but it's EA who's going to make it. And at the end of the day, I feel EA does see, based off products that they completely own within their own IP, such as FIFA, Madden, which have Ultimate Team, which is one of the biggest scams in all of gaming. So, in my opinion, you still remove Disney from the situation. I still think a lot of these problems exist where it's just two fucking awful companies here combining on what is a wonderful brand.
Yeah.
And fucking it up in every way possible. I think Disney doesn't get games, but I also think EA at times sucks at making games. I wouldn't say it's a surprise that the one Star Wars game announcement we got last year was for a game coming from Respawn, which they make multiplayer games. I mean, they made a good story in Titanfall 2. I haven't yet to play it, but from what I've heard, a lot of people really thought it was a solid one. So it's like, it's not going to surprise me at all if this is a multiplayer game based on Star Wars, which I'm not against. I love Respawn titles. I played the shit out of Titanfall 1. Titanfall 2, I didn't give enough time to, personally. But, I think that what they're going to make will be impressive, will be cool. But at the end of the day, it's going to be another multiplayer game, which, like Cowboy said, there is a fan base, there is a hunger for a open world Star Wars game, or a single player one at that. Not just like one of these shitty stories from Battlefront 2, and I'm sorry to say it that way, but it's true. That story is just inexcusably mediocre. It just showed a lack of care for its universe. I feel like there's a lack of identification within their own audience. They don't get what their audience wants, which is, I think that falls on both sides.
Well, I think they get what their audience wants. It's clear to me that EA very much thinks with their wallet first. And I mean, we've seen that single player games can be successful. I mean, hell, look at this last year,
Right.
God of War, Breath of the Wild, Spider-Man, all single player titles that were absolutely phenomenal and knocked out of the park. But if you look at statistics, despite all of those games selling buttloads, they were like, I think they earned a quarter of what your typical microtransaction style game earned. And so at the end of the day, that's EA. They're like, well, we could make money doing a single player, or we could make 4 times that shoving a loot box up your ass and having you pay to shit it out. And so that's where we are. They want their money more than anything, and they want it so much that they're willing to alienate their user base and just go, well, we'll give you this and you'll put up with it because you want Star Wars, even if it is a microtransaction shit-filled mess.
Gotcha.
I've also wondered, I don't know if you guys have ever wondered this, but I've continually, this is sort of percolated in the background of my head, but we know that every single time a big single-player title comes out, usually 40 to 50% of the people are let go at the end. That's typical scale for a large company making a game, and then they don't need those people. And it sometimes makes me wonder if internally, it's not politically correct to say it for their part, but I wonder if internally some of the people making these games, they feel safer with microtransactions as well because it continues on. Games as a service keeps these developers working too.
Right.
I know that everybody thinks if the name publisher is prior to your name, then you're a bad guy. Developer, you're a good guy. We know that that's not true. We've seen them switch hands, and like that kind of thing really doesn't make any sense when it comes to applying a title as being a catch-all. But it does make me wonder if, I don't know if they would say it, but if some developer or two, maybe in a past Reddit post or something, I can find where they've mentioned that, yeah, I mean, getting fired sucks. So if it's a 50% as big a team, but you stay working for 4 years, or it's a 100% bigger team, but you work for 2 years, those people are going to take the fucking 4 year every time. And so it's a shitty industry in that way too. So removing EA from it and removing Disney as well, the actual way big open world games are made has that huge drop off. I mean, look at how many times we've seen these companies say, or seen these workers after a big open world game gets released, they're like, well, I'm out of a job. Yeah, I think Insomniac did a good job because they balanced titles out, so they didn't have to remove people from Spider-Man.
This sounds like
I think Naughty Dog's one that's done a good job too. I haven't heard.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
This sounds like a weird fan fiction Reddit post where EA is actually a good guy because they're never laying off their employees because they have.
And that's what I'm wondering is would anybody even want to say it if it was not that it was true? But I'm saying, remembering also that HR and having somebody come in and then leave and setting up their cubicles, that's what I used to do prior to this job. And you're talking many thousands of dollars, even in a small business I was in.
Yeah.
So you're losing, $50,000 to $100,000 to set up a small office, blah, blah, blah. And then they're like, well, wait a minute. Because like you said, or like Matty said, microtransactions, one of you guys said that microtransaction games were making a large amount more. Yeah, than these single player titles. And I'm just wondering if internally the business, even removing the people from it, but just looking at video game as a business, if it's twisting the other way just to keep longevity for these people. Because you also want to keep them around if you want to do that sequel, right? Because we've seen what BioWare is like when all the good people leave. Sorry to anybody who is still working at BioWare. But that's not what I meant, but you know what I mean.
I mean, it's definitely it's almost like a cultural shift. I mean,
it is, yeah.
I'm not necessarily against it because I've played MMOs forever, and MMOs are, almost the baseline definition of video games as a service. You pay for a month and you get new content, and I think that's the big problem is the content. As long as I am getting fed good content, I'll give you $15 a month. Hell, I'm a whale. Sure. When I used to play Heroes of the Storm, I probably spent $400 on hero skins just because I was like, yeah, I want to beat someone's ass with a tennis racket. This sounds awesome. So as long as good stuff is coming, I'll gladly give money. But it's where you have these games as a service and it's shitty gambling loot boxes that I'm like, all right, stop and go to your room. Come back with a good game for me.
It's interesting you say that because it's such a simple premise in many ways, and not everything that's good always succeeds financially. But I've seen so much across all entertainment, whether it's books, movies, gaming, is that when there is love and care put into something and it is made for a fan base that has been hungering for it, it seems to do well. And like I said, I know that sounds very simple on its own, but I look at, for example, Into the Spider-Verse, which is it won Best Animated Picture. It sold incredibly well. Same thing with Dragon Ball Super Broly, which we'll talk about later, but it performed insanely well. It was the best anime movie seller ever. And there was a lot of love and care in that. And we see the same thing with games like Spider-Man, where you could tell the developers at Insomniac are also Spider-Man fans, and that fans of Spider-Man who want to be Spider-Man will enjoy a game by Spider-Man fans, right? So I've just noticed over time more and more is that these half-baked attempts at things or companies that don't care, it shows. And I think because gaming has spread so much, and now with social media, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, there's that direct line between not only gamers, but the gamer and developer, or gamer and publisher, where they can just gather in numbers and express their displeasure with something or how much they love something. And both sides of that fence grow, multiply more and more as time goes on. If a lot of people are talking, let's look at Resident Evil 2 as a most recent example. From the ground up remake of what a lot of people call the best Resident Evil game of all time. I personally never played the original. I started it. We'll talk about it in a little bit as well. I really enjoy it. But we're seeing a lot of people really gather around Resident Evil 2 because it is exactly what fans wanted, staying true to the original, but also introducing new formulas. There's heart in it. And because there's heart in it, fans reciprocate and they spread the good word of your game. And in turn, you're going to see that this game will do well. Now, will it be under Capcom standards of succeeding? Who the fuck knows? Because Capcom has outrageous expectations with a lot of their sales. But what my long-winded rant is kind of about is as simple as I feel like if there was heart in this EA Star Wars deal, that we would see it in the games, and in turn, these games would be better, and this discussion would not be happening.
No, yeah. I mean, not to go down the rabbit hole too much, but in a similar note, take a look at like Final Fantasy XIV compared to World of Warcraft. You know, they both had subscription base. They've both been around forever. And just in this last year and a half, you're seeing a huge decline in World of Warcraft because so many people were excited for BFA, and it's just turned out to be a fucking mess. And they've, you know, in the dev interviews and stuff, that like people are saying what they want, and it's being just outright ignored, and they're like transitioning it towards more of a, you know, mobile come back and play every day microtransaction-y game, whereas Final Fantasy on the other hand has just continued to grow, and they keep giving people what they want. You know, it's a small but very loyal fan base, and it's, you know, kind of to what you said about developers that love their games and love the community. You very much see that contrast between those two instances.
Right, exactly. And like I said, there are definitely examples that I'm sure people could name like 500 of games that developers believed in, publishers believed in, they loved what they were doing. It didn't do as well, though. But I guess just the end of the story with that is I feel like I've seen more often than not people celebrating a good product just as much as they'll complain up a storm about a bad product. As long as there's heart there, and I feel that the good word gets spread, and in turn, the product starts to sell more and more than it ever could have.
Well, I think you're also just indicating whether we say it's like it immediately does well or not. I think what you're actually indicating is that your chances increase if there is that.
There is.
If there is, you know, there and because we have seen amazing games not do well and shitty games do well, unfortunately, but. It's funny that Cowboy brought up MMOs as games as a service, because I've always, or maybe as some kind of tangent, I firmly do believe that. Like, I do think that that the overlap, that term could be overlapped pretty much, you know, over them. And it is weird that one of my favorite MMOs of all time is a Star Wars MMO. I actually really like Knights of the Old Republic. It's got a ton of story, and they continue to give out content. And but it was made prior to all these deals. And one of the things I find weird. Did you guys see that little news article where they said that another rumor is that the original people who made the deal are gone? Did you guys see that?
Yeah.
So
the person who took over EA wasn't happy with it.
So Disney loved the ex-CEO Riccatello. Riccatello left, and that CEO left, and they have both been replaced by, supposedly, rumor is, two people who really don't fucking like each other. And that might indicate a reason for, I don't know if you guys remember this, but a reason for the investor call rumor that came out where Star Wars Battlefront 2 got released, didn't do well, and supposedly Disney called EA and were bitching. And it was a quick story. It popped up where it was like people said that there was this like heated call between the two CEOs, and then you really don't hear anything about it again. And I was like, I wonder if they made this deal, right, and then over time, those people are replaced. And then if that lack of communication, and this is going to be crazy if we find this out 10 years from now, some fucking book comes out, but it'd be really crazy to find out that some of these issues, not all, but some of them are pure lack of communication or the ability to communicate between a couple people. I mean, wouldn't that be it'd be the saddest, but it would make sense, because right now I'm going to tell you from the outside looking in, nothing makes sense. That's, I think, why we're all talking about it.
Two executives having a pissing contest, and that's why all this problem is happening.
Right. Well, look at Ford destroying the other, you know, car creators when he started up his business and going out there and you know, two competing CEOs not liking each other and trying to destroy each other. It's like, instead here, it's almost like a lack of love in a marriage where there's no communication, and they're just sort of, you know, letting it go. Again, I in no way, shape, or form think that's all the issues, but I think looking at it from the outside, nothing makes sense. So obviously some of this shit's happening. It can't just be bad luck, like you guys said. You know, you guys are saying it certainly can't just be that. It can't. It's got to be. There's got to be multiple reasons for this, and multiple facets that stop people from getting it done.
I feel a big part of this we're going to find out is going to be that Disney they got the license, and they had a plan for movies, shows, but they did not have a plan for games. So they make this deal with EA for an extended period of time, so it's one less headache. You handle the games. Hands up,
right.
Go for it. And then they go focus on the movies, episode 7, 8, the Resistance show, Star Wars Rebels, and the list goes on of all the shit that they've made, Rogue One. And meanwhile, they're just like, all right, we'll get in touch when we're doing on a new movie or something that you can cross over with your games. Like we saw Rogue One had an update on Battlefront 1, and it added like Jyn Erso and Admiral something from that movie. So I feel like that's probably one of the few times they do communicate. I'm just taking a wild guess. I don't know their actual communication schedule, but I think lack of communication clearly could be a sign of why this type of stuff continues to happen.
One last thing to point out also, Disney are the ones who were involved in canceling all the Netflix shows. And right. is it because are they focused on streaming? Also, people think, oh, they must be losing a lot of money. That's true. But they also have just shown us by all these cancellations that they don't care about a lot of things if they're building something behind the scenes or if they're doing something else. So sometimes I wonder if, like you said, they're just like, yeah, go make this. And there's no love there. There's no communication because they just don't. There's other things they're doing.
Right.
And again, it feels like they're so ingrained in the movies and in the TV shows and now in their streaming service that they just they've unfortunately disconnected. Which is sad as fuck because all I want is Red Dead 2, but as a Star Wars game.
Yeah.
So that's all I'm asking for. Sounds big, but,
but
you would think they'd be able to do it.
That's why I said, I think it was last episode, I would love for them to just do what Marvel does now.
Yeah.
Case by case. Got a vision. Get a games division who knows games, who loves games, who's ambitious, who's constantly thinking of cool ideas, because then they can create a pitch together and bring it to the right studio based off their portfolio and see if that would be a good fit.
I have a question for you.
What's up?
Would you not say that Respawn is one of those that you would choose if they weren't under EA? Because I think I would.
Honestly, they
I
were
Respawn
good
stuff.
outside of and under EA still to this day.
Exactly.
So they are one that, that's why I'm not very negative on their game, because it's not like Battlefront 2 where I was like, okay, I'm cautiously optimistic, and the only thing that really did worry me with that game before launch was its story, because of mainly what happened with Battlefront 1, which was, oh god, this just is not a good game. It's just a hollow shell. Whereas Respawn has a great portfolio, and now they're hopping over to Star Wars, and I'm curious to see, based off where it's set in the universe, like how they do that too, because that's what's different. This isn't new era content. This is between episodes 3 and 4, I think they said, which to me, I hear that and think, oh man, like what are they going to do there? What story are they going to tell? And what kind of game is it going to be? Because I keep thinking of the wall running from Titanfall, and I go, oh man, imagine if that was in a Star Wars multiplayer game. That'd be awesome. So we'll wait and see, but I really hope it ends up coming out this year, because I am very curious on what they're doing.
Me too.
All right. Now we're going to talk about what we're playing, what's coming out this weekend, because all the sad news is over. All right, let's get started with Resident Evil 2. So, Karak, you did a review. I just started this afternoon. I played for about 2 hours. And Cowboy, have you played this at all?
I am two and a half hours in so far, and it is it's pretty intense. I can't play for more than an hour without taking a break, and it's oof. It's good.
Did you like 7, Cowboy?
I like 7 a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Yeah, I liked 7. It's interesting how Capcom did this. They were the last company I thought that would go Resident Evil 7, then back to 2 without like any type of subtitle in the game name. It's just Resident Evil 2.
Yeah,
not
caught me
indicating
by
it's a
surprise.
remake, right? That was what I thought was interesting about that. But as for the game itself, so Cowboy and I are around the same area. Karak, do you just want to give a general wrap up of your thoughts on the game from your original review, and then we'll kind of get started and just go from there?
I just think it's surprisingly good. I think that it's I think that, well, because you and I talked prior to the podcast for a second, like, is it a remake fully? You know, like, what exactly? The change-ups they did makes it new for old people, which is nice for people who've played it before. There's some new changes to the things, which I think is awesome.
Right.
But they've taken in conveniences that were just not in the original Evil 2, which controlled like a fucking turd on a basket. Like, that had some of the worst control of a game. Now, you can still add it, you can still sort of like play with old camera angles and stuff like that, but the third-person camera, the more open feel to it, changes the actual world, makes it feel more modern, and it feels like a game. If you told me this was new, I would not have an issue with it, if that makes sense. So if you said let's say Resident Evil 7, and then this was called 8, I would actually not bat an eye at that. That's I think just overall as a package, it's a very good fan service, but also a really good modern game.
I mean, you can walk and aim. That alone has been a huge quality of life change.
Yeah, exactly. Whoa, I can do this?
What's interesting is I don't even think Resident Evil 5 had that, right?
Resident Evil 5 was Africa? Or is that,
yes.
Which one was the one?
Yeah, it was the co-op one. And I don't even think Resident Evil 5 had that. And that was the one people really didn't like because it kind of modernized. It was very explosion focused and action packs. I fucking love the game personally. I'll be the first to admit it. I'll take the egg on the face. I thought that game was awesome. And
I liked it, but I'm very partial to co-op games. Like, there's not enough co-op games these days.
Yeah.
Sure, that might be part of it too. I played that game over and over and over though. That game was so much fun to me. But back to Resident Evil 2. I agree. It's very tense. So far, my favorite aspect of the game, I put it on my Twitter account, but I'll say it here for the show, is definitely the lighting in the game. I think the way that it creates space through, you go into like a tight, narrow area, and you have like a bunch of windows on the side, and you can see the light piercing through, and it brings focus onto like a dead body, maybe some blood on the wall, and then it kind of shows you in a natural way, here's what the player should be focusing on right now. And I think that to make that happen so naturally, so effortlessly almost, where I think anyone playing the game who doesn't think about game development is just, I'm playing Resident Evil, who's not looking at it through that pair of eyes, that a lot of people don't. I think that's very immersive in a way. It's very engaging, and I think it's a stroke of genius in development, because like I said, I love the use of shadows too, where sometimes they do the old cliche. You're walking down the hallway that is an L, and you'll see a little movement on the wall. You're like, oh fuck, something's over there that's not there anymore. But they do make smart use of those cliches, such as like the typical radio thing where you find a dead body,
walkie-talkie.
And it makes sense. Like, okay, we're in a police station. There is a dead cop here. And then there is a message coming through, and now because the message is over, the static's going to start coming on, which is I've seen that in a lot of horror games. The static sitting in the background as only thing you can hear is like your footsteps. I love the lack of music. I'm so happy about that every time I encounter an enemy, it's not just like, let's ramp up the music to 10 and then ramp it back down when the combat's over. I like how they just let the sound of the environment set a tone and really lets you get fully enveloped in the atmosphere of the game. So I've been enjoying it quite a bit. There's not much else I can really go on, though, other than aesthetically what I've been pleased with. Because gameplay-wise, I've probably shot like 10 things.
Not to gush too much about it, because I'm enjoying it a lot, but one thing I got to point out that has kind of rubbed me the wrong way is the, I guess I'd describe it as dynamic difficulty. Like, if you're doing really well, you'll notice zombies become progressively harder to take down.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a thing.
Because early on, I was just breezing through. I was like, double tapping everything, making sure they were dead. And then by like my second hour in, like, Christ, I had to put 10 to 15 bullets into a zombie right in his face to kill him. And I'm like, all right, this needs to... Like, it got to a point where it was more efficient for me to just shoot something's legs off and let it crawl around on the floor and leave it alive, like like the police station was filled with cats, but just zombies crawling around instead, than actually killing them, because they would take so many bullets.
Interesting. Yeah, because you know what? I thought, because this is the thing. Have you played the original first?
I played like half of it. I never
All right.
got all the way through
Just
it.
enough to experience the gameplay then, because I've never played the original. So I thought for me, it was normal when I'm shooting 5 bullets into these zombies' heads, and most of the time their head doesn't pop, and I'm like, are they dead? Are they not? I don't want to waste ammo shooting them on the ground. And then they get fucking back up, and I shoot them another 2 times, and then they finally, I think they're dead. And I thought that was just me. So they ramp up the difficulty a little bit. That's...
Well, no, but that's the fun thing. It's dynamic. Like if you're getting bit constantly, if you're getting messed up and you're burning through your healing, the zombies they won't be as hard. It'll only take you 2 or 3 shots to take one down, and the head will explode, and then you're usually good. So it's interesting because it tries to keep the difficulty at a point where it's not too hard, it's not too easy. But if you're going through very efficiently and taking stuff down, eventually you get into that area, like I said, where you're like, I do not have the bullets anymore. Like, you do not need 15 bullets to take down this one zombie. Please, game, like, die. And the other thing that this is I guess it's a small gripe, but zombies get stuck in front of doors and they can't open doors, and it puts you in this weird situation where like you have to kind of kick the door open and shoot it, because if you fully open the door, it's going to bite you.
Yeah.
But it can't come through the door. So it's like this game of cat and mouse where you're like, well, I know you're right there and I need to kill you, but if I go forward too much, you're just going to bite me. And this seems kind of like a slight design oversight, I guess.
Interesting. Yeah.
Well, yeah, the atmosphere and all that, it is great. Like there have been, I think my first encounter with a liquor, not to spoil anything, but my first encounter was pretty like, oh.
I love the characters' reactions too. What the fuck?
Yeah, every time.
When you shoot.
Every
what the
time.
fuck?
He's
What
like
the fuck?
equally surprised every time he sees a zombie. What?
It's like it's a zombie.
Leon, come on.
You just wasted 8,000 bullets on the guy before him, and you're like, oh my god. I love it. I will say when you get the knife, I don't know if you guys have got that, but once you get the knife, you can stab or you can slash them on the ground and test if they're still alive.
I did that.
That
my knife
worked
broke.
for me.
My knife broke.
Yeah,
that's the thing. I was like,
That's the
they
thing.
gave me a knife because there was one part where I was out of ammo and there was 2 zombies that came out of a closet and they're blocking this tiny hallway, and I'm like, all right, I can't fucking punch them, so I gotta just hope I run through them. And they kept biting me, and I eventually got through. I didn't die, but then they give me this knife, and I go, oh fuck yes, thank God. This is exactly what I need. That's why it was so hard getting through enemies up close, and it was. And I go, if you use the knife too much though, it'll break. And that's when I went, oh, fuck me. Like, it's just not going to be easy. But as I kept playing the game, I started to realize why this is one of my favorite genres in gaming. And I always forget it just because I'm not like a thrill seeker in general, let alone like when I'm playing games. I love to just have fun. But I forget sometimes that fun comes from that tension of just balancing out your ammo, trying to make every shot
of the knife.
count. Yeah, endurance of the knife. Yeah. Like, everything's limited. Okay, there's 2 zombies here. Yes, I have 20 plus bullets right now, but I could afford to miss some shots, but I will regret that later. Like I said about the atmosphere, how they build tension that way. It's a very engrossing experience, unlike many other games, because it's hard to do. And
I mean, if you have too much ammo and you can kill everything in 3 shots, that definitely takes the tension away. You're like, oh, I got 18 shots, man. That's 6 zombies I'll take down. I got plenty. Let's go.
Precisely.
Did you guys ever have the point where it warns you? It's like, if you stab a zombie and you don't kill it, you're gonna kill it to get your knife back. And of course, the first fucking thing I do is stab this dude and realize I'm out of bullets. And I run all the way back, and when you look at the menu, you can actually see your knife stuck in a zombie in the menu and the zombie shambling around. And you're like, fuck, I need that knife back, because the knife is quite useful for getting people away from you if you're in a crowded area. And I was like, oh shit, so I had to go all the way back, grab those 2 bullets, hope I hit him in the head, hope I fucking burst him. But yeah, I would agree, Matty, in particular, when it comes to balancing those things. The one thing I will say, I want to know what you guys think. When you start having a lot of puzzle items and inventory space, what you think of that?
I already had that issue.
Yeah, it's a little...
it's a little difficult, I think, overall.
It's a lot of running back to a stash and deciding, okay, what do I need to bring with me now? Do I actually need this grenade launcher? Like, on one hand, if something big shows up, I want to have it, but on the other, that's 2 inventory slots, you know?
Yeah,
I gotta carry the ammo. Do I want the fire or the acid?
Is the situation I found myself in. I found a green herb. I found another one to make space. I combined the two, and then 2 seconds later, I found a red. So I could have combined the green and the red, which is the best healing, and then had a spare green one.
What?
You can combine green and green, which is what I did.
Yeah, but you can combine green and red to make a 3. It'll show green, green, red in your
I
on
tried
your piece
to
of
do
paper.
that. It wouldn't let me. I'm gonna try again. I'll try again.
Try again. You can for sure. You can for sure.
Okay. For some reason,
absolutely.
What does green, green, red do? Because I know green, red is full heal.
Yeah, green, green, red, you see the little shield icon? It raises something. Yeah, and it raises something there. But I remember having the same problem Maddie did because I was dumb enough to not mix them dynamically in the icon. I was making space. So I was dropping them in, then going back into my inventory, then grabbing them and merging them. And then I found out you can dynamically merge them. So if you don't have any space, as long as you have something you can combine it with, you can do that. And the only thing, Maddie, I'm wondering is maybe you can only do that with a green and a green. So if you have a full inventory and a green, maybe you can only grab a green and mix them, but you can't grab a red and mix it to the 2 greens.
Does the red in this game, is it just the same as a green herb, but it looks red? Because the red thing...
it looks like a rhododendron bush. It's round.
Okay.
It's like a...
All right,
it looks,
you know what? I think I just picked up a red plant. That's the thing. I think I just picked up a red plant. Because it does not look like that. It looks... Like you can see
is it long?
You can see the root
like the green one?
Yeah, no, because the green one more looked like a kind of.
Like I love these hand.
Yeah. Well, the green looks like an arborvitae, I guess, when you think about it. But
I mean, I can't think of anything else you'd grab that was red that wasn't. You know,
and that's what I'm trying to think
this
too.
This could be me being a dumbass. I just could have messed up because when I remember clicking combine, like okay, let's put these together, or let's see if I can at least do so. And combine was grayed out, so. I'll try again when I hop on after the show.
You were stressed. There were zombies chasing you. Mistakes.
Oh,
happen.
it can. Yeah, I mean, especially when honestly, like you have full inventory and you need that puzzle piece that's on a desk, and you're like, "Fuck! I don't want to drop I got 1 gunpowder, and I know there's one over there, and if I drop it."
I had exactly that happen right after the right after you get the bolt clippers. I go through the office and I find the fuse that I need, and I'm like, "Okay, I got the fuse. The door's right there." I don't have inventory space for this. And it was a question of, do I want to run all the way back or am I just throwing out this gunpowder?
Yep.
Yeah. I got shotgun ammo and I was so close to the chest that I could store it in just to have for later. I didn't have the shotgun at this point, but I was thinking, man, this will be good later if I just get to hang on to it. But I needed the spade key so that I could get into other doors throughout the rest of the police station, which, you know, I like how, mind you, because when I was playing this game, I was wondering, how are they going to explain why this place is so fucking weirdly laid out? And then I find out it was formerly an art museum, and I was like, yes, like, thank you. They gave reasoning to why the fuck it was like this.
They did, yeah.
I was like, why does a police station have a spade key? But anyway, yeah, I had that same situation. I like that personally, because then it makes when you find the hip, I forgot what it's called, the hip something?
Yeah, the packs.
Hip pouch.
That adds.
Yeah, the hip pouch, there we go. It adds additional inventory slots. It makes that more rewarding, where in games like KotOR, we'll use it as an example because we talked about that recently, that has unlimited inventory space, so everything you just pick up, and it's really nice to have in Resident Evil where like 12 spaces going into 14 is the shit.
Yeah.
It reminds me when Fallout 76 patched in actual additional weight that you could have to store into your stash, man. That was so nice.
I don't know if the other Resident Evils did this. You guys could remind me. The last, 7, I don't remember doing this. It could have. Veronica was one of my favorites. But in this one, when you use something until it can't be used anymore, it puts that check mark, which tells you can discard it. And I thought that was such a bonus. So it's like you open up 4 doors or 3 doors or whatever, and you're like, I don't want to hold on to this key if I don't have to. And that'll actually literally tell you you do not have to, which I think is such a bonus.
That reminds me of another time I was fixing my inventory, and I didn't notice it rather. So I discarded gunpowder because I needed space for something else that was important. I can't remember what. Because I'm like, okay, where am I going to find another gunpowder soon? I guess I'll have to get rid of this. And then I realized there's a check mark next to this key, and I thought, wait, I used this earlier in the gas station. Fuck me. I think I can drop this now because I'm nowhere close to the gas station, and boom, discarded.
No, I had that exact thing. I was like, why do I even have this? I'm not going back.
Yeah.
And it only gives you one tutorial blurb about it one time. And I've clicked through a couple tutorials, even playing the second time, or like, because it pops up real quick and you can miss that so easy. You absolutely can.
I think it's a problem with us and our jobs. You know, you play so many games that you get to a point where you're like tutorial blind, if you will. You're just like, I know. And then you end up getting frustrated that you missed something. You're like, the game didn't fucking explain it. And people are like, actually, right here at 10 minutes in, there was a little thing. And, well, I couldn't see that. There was shit going on. I didn't know it was there.
That's so true about tutorial blind. I try not to get frustrated when I do that because I know it's on me. But there have been so many times I'm like, dude, I play enough games. Like, I fucking know. I know how to play this game. It's all right.
Well,
you don't have to tell me.
Or they tell you in the cutscene you skip a cutscene. I don't ever skip cutscenes, but I've had friends who have, and they'll be like, dude, I can't do this. And I'll be all, actually, what you need to do is literally at the very end of that cutscene. And when I was playing Resident Evil, I ended up walking away and listening, and she said something, and I could tell it was trying to tell me. It was like, hey, in the future, you're going to need to do this particular thing. And I was running back to my computer going like, fuck, because I was just trying to piss. But I was like, I don't want to miss what the fuck. It's like the only way to kill the bad guy is to shoot him in the earlobe. And I was like, oh man, thank God I came back. But yeah, I'm glad you guys are liking it, man. It's, I mean, not super far in, but it'll be interesting to see what you guys think.
I got two questions for you as someone who beat it, because I've seen a lot of conversation on IGN's review about not beating the second run through.
Yeah.
Number one, how many times do you have to beat this game? Number two, how long is each campaign? Because I know Resident Evil games aren't typically long.
You have to beat it 4 times technically. Two normals and then 2 like with the second stories, which is pretty typical of a lot of Resident Evil.
It's like Leon, Claire, Leon, basically.
Yeah, sort of like AB. It used to be AB, now they've changed it. But I will say the reason why it gets shorter in the second is because there's some overlap of location. Now they changed some of the item drops, but like I already know the puzzle, let's say. So if I played as Leon and I'm Claire, then I know that puzzle, and then it starts to diverge. Right. But I've seen people do really fast later playthroughs. The first one's 5 to 8 hours, depending, and then after that, it also depends on the difficulty tremendously. Because like with IGN, they were the ones who were playing Ace Combat on easy on novice, and Ace Combat's executive director was like, "How dare you guys? Like, you guys," because they reviewed it and said it didn't control well, and he's like, "You're using the basic fucking control scheme. You can't even barrel roll." So I don't know what difficulty they played on when they did that. They did fix the review, I know that, but it really does depend. I would say you're probably, if you're a normal player who likes to look at everything, you're gonna get 20 hours out of it easy, and then you have some other stuff coming as well, and some stuff available there. So it sort of depends on how good you are. Which I think that's the problem, don't you guys? That like every time we talk about length, people, it's almost like saying resolution, but people don't want to talk about the settings.
I always think of our conversation with Doom.
Yeah, how long something takes if you're good or not good, or what difficulty you're on. It's a huge
I thought
difference.
It was too long. I think you said you thought it was a little shorter.
I think it was. I thought it was normal or a little shorter, and you thought it was too long.
Yeah. I always think of that.
Yeah, it just all depends on, and again, it's you can't have one side of the conversation. You can't say how long it is without saying what difficulty you played on. You can't say what resolution are you running this PC game at if you're fucking not explaining what settings you're running it at. If you're running it low and you're like, I get 4K, it's like, well,
yeah,
what the fuck does that mean? Like, so.
Right on.
I've had that argument with so many people about when.
I don't know.
When the 2080s came out, and I was like, finally, man, I can actually do like good 4K gaming. And they're like, 1080 Ti does 4K fine. And I'm like, yeah, if you're playing on potato settings, maybe.
Or Tetris. I mean, a fucking, you can do 16K on an indie title. It just depends on what exactly is being played, too. Mm-hmm. I'm glad you guys are digging it, man. I want to hear what you guys think about... Well, wait a minute. Who played Claire and who played Leon first? What'd you guys play first?
I'm doing Leon first because
I started as a waifu for laifu, my dude. Gotta pick Claire.
Okay. I've seen a lot of people pick Claire first, but that's why I picked Leon, but also because I think Leon's so cool. So I kind of wanted to get his origin story.
I'm liking Claire, but she's and I don't know if this is just a Capcom thing. I think it's just a Capcom thing, but Claire is overly moist. Like a lot.
I have no idea what the fuck that means.
No, it's the lighting engine. I know what he means.
Oh, bro.
Like, you
I
can
was like,
see it,
yo,
and
what
it's
the
like-
fuck did he just say?
She's like there's just constant scenes of her in the rain, and I get it. You're in the rain, you're wet, but she's just like.
Is it like Tomb Raider? Almost?
What's the term?
It's like
She's
like
a little bit of dew. Yeah.
It's like Tomb Raider on crack, dude. She's so moist. Just
no, Leon's
wet.
that way too. If you're on the PC,
Yeah.
So
I noticed the
the
glisten
lighting
on
is
his-
different on the PC and the consoles too, a little bit.
Okay.
You noticed it. You still noticed it on the console though.
Yes. Yeah.
Gotcha.
That might be part of what I was mentioning earlier, where I said something.
Mm-hmm.
I can't put my finger on it. I don't want to talk about it too much personally, just because I don't really have anything to back it up other than I look at it and I go, But there's something that I always found. We were talking about this before the show that I found funny with the models in the game. I thought the body models were good, but something with the head, the hair, something was off about that. And maybe it's the glisten. I think part of it's the weird brightness settings in the game that fuck with it a little bit. And then you mentioned something from Digital Foundry as well. So I think it's a multiple amount of issues that
I'm glad you guys are liking it though. Like I said, because I didn't know what people were gonna think. Like if they were gonna, be like, oh, it should be $12 or something because it's a remake or some bullshit like that.
Nah, I think because there's that, which I didn't expect personally. I know that a lot of Resident Evil games do traditional one playthrough, then a new game plus, but I guess because there's multiple campaigns in some essence, like I said, I know nothing of Resident Evil 2, so I knew there would be a Claire and Leon story, but that was it. So knowing that there's 4 stories and ways to kind of play it, kind of.
What'd you guys think of the voice, Maddie? Like, what were you a fan of the voice acting so far? You're not a fan?
I do not like Leon's voice actor so far. I do not. I do not like it. Very. I was used to the Matt Mercer Leon. Maybe because I played Resident Evil 6 as a joke.
Yeah, gotcha.
And I guess it fit the character model really well. Usually, I love Matt Mercer's work, but he's one of those voice actors kind of like Troy Baker where it's like, okay, he's every fucking character.
Yeah,
Start searching for new talent. Not because he's bad, but because every character cannot be these two guys. But I thought that was one casting that I thought would fit well and should stick. But I get it's a younger Leon, so make him sound a bit different. I'm sure it'll grow on me a little bit more, but when he does talk, I just feel like there isn't this intensity in his voice, right? There is this, we were talking about how he's always reacting to zombies coming out. It's not like, what the hell kind of thing. He's like, what the hell? Like, he's just really confused.
Methadone? What the hell?
That's so funny, because Claire is like the opposite. I think Claire's voice actor absolutely hit it, man. Like, we're going through, and there was one part where I'm fighting the zombie don't die, and I'm like, God damn it! And a second later, Claire was like, God damn it! And I'm like, hey!
Neither one of you have gotten liquors in there, but there's, it's not a spoiler, but I'm not going to mention it. But there's one character that sort of changes up the gameplay, and it fucking is so good, man. It's so.
I've encountered 2 liquors so far.
It's a special character that you'll see. Like, you'll know who I'm talking about the most.
Liquors in Resident Evil 5, there's a level where you're in a laboratory and they got the long tongs, and if you don't move, they can't see you, I think.
Yeah, they go by sound.
Yeah, they go by sound.
Oh, that's going to be awesome to see in a modern Resident Evil game. I'm really excited for that, but my anxiety is going to
you haven't encountered any of them yet? I figured you were. So did you get past the goddess statue yet? Like the 3 things for the statue?
Not yet. I got one more medallion to get.
Okay.
So here's why, by the way. Claire's questing is different than Leon's in the police station. So Claire's much faster. Claire's about at 15 to minutes if you know the level to like an hour and a half to get through the police station. Leon's much longer.
Yeah, I'm like 2 hours through that.
Yeah, so I can see you not seeing. That's why a lot of people who play Leon are like, oh shit, Claire's super fast on the next playthrough. But Claire already is. She ends up with the grenade launcher quick. Like, because I think Cowboy already has it, and
my encounters with the liquor were pretty much like, sit down, toasty boy.
Yeah, right. It changes up the way you play because of that. Then also characters you meet.
It sounds like her story's a lot quicker. Is that right? Or
her story branches off in a different place than Leon. So, it can be quicker, but that's just because you also know the puzzles and shit, right?
Like you know where.
So there is okay, I get it. Not to interrupt.
I don't want to encounter these liquors without my grenade launcher.
Oh, dude, no! I can't wait. I can't wait because there's another character in there that like I talked about it in the review, but I didn't want to spoil it for anybody. People know what it is because it was existed in 2, but I love it here. And the music changes.
Certain number of the alphabet?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm talking about. And this thunderous, like, stomp starts to happen, and you're like, what the fuck? And then you have that Kool-Aid kind of moment, man, where, like, somebody comes through a wall kind of stuff. Those kind of... Yeah, I figured you did.
It's Mr. X. Let's just put him out there.
Okay, well, there you go.
We're all the same.
And it is... Oh, dude. It changes up the way you play, because now you have the puzzle, the inventory, right, like we talked about, the items, the puzzles, the inventory, space. Now you've got this fucking dude who's just consistently chomping at the bit to punch you, and he falcon punches you. It's hilarious. Like, he really does. He's like, gut punch, and he does some serious damage. But the cool thing is he can go anywhere. So, you know those zombies you mentioned? They can't go through a door. That motherfucker just leans down and comes through the door. So the first time I'm on the other side of the door, I'm like, ha ha ha, you can't come in here. And he's like, bitch, I'm coming in. And he just busted. I was like, oh shit. And it completely fucked all my plans up. So they do a really good job of changing it up. Not only that, but also, again, Leon and Claire having like sort of different stories.
Just have to wear my brown pants that day.
So there is some overlap in area, different stories.
There is definitely overlap in the area.
Okay.
So interesting, just because I was thinking about it. I played, the demo you played as Leon, and I remember I like got a bunch of stuff, and I was playing as Claire. I was like, where's this damn... I can't get the key open to get the shotgun, and I'm like, where is this at, man? This isn't lining up right.
Makes sense. All right, that's cool. And then after Kingdom Hearts, there we go. I spoiled the cool part. After Resident Evil is Kingdom Hearts. Are you guys playing it?
Yes.
Not yet, but well, obviously not yet. I mean, we talked about this a little before the call. There's so much going on in Kingdom Hearts. I'm going to go through it because I feel like it's expected of us at the least.
Has to be, yeah.
I think it's just going to be like an acid trip, and I'll be confused the entirety of the journey, though.
Karak, what about you? First time Kingdom Hearts fan?
Yeah, and like I played some of 1 and 2, but I would say, like we talked about a little bit earlier, it certainly is sort of like a fever dream. You have to go into it and know that a lot of shit's not going to make any sense, or it will, but only to somebody who really knows the lore. They did some callbacks to 1 and 2 though, so if you're new, you don't necessarily have to play it. You just have to, if you do play it and you're new to this, I would say just go into it knowing that it is the continuation of a story, not like a brand new story. And I think people see the number 3 and know that, but just a warning.
Now, is there a lot of, because so 1 I got through, 2 I could probably pick up and get through, but I know there's like 1.5, 0.83, Kingdom Hearts half digital dream. Like, do I need to know all of that, or is it only 1 and 2?
Allow me. So I've played every single Kingdom Hearts game. Pretty much just 1.5 and 2.5, which are collections for the PS4 that round up certain aspects of the Kingdom Hearts adventure. 1 you have to play, 2 you have to play. Birth by Sleep you absolutely have to play. 358 over 2 days you should play, or rather watch the movie for.
Isn't that name amazing?
I know.
It's
and
awesome.
There's Recoded, which is important to check out. I forget. Oh, Dream Drop Distance as well, because that's pretty much that was the last game to come out outside of. Oh, how could I forget 2.8? So you got to play all those, but Dream Drop Distance is pretty much what happens right before when Kingdom Hearts 3 starts, and Kingdom Hearts 3 picks up a little bit after that.
I watched a Donkey video on this that, going into it, I assumed it was a joke because a lot of his stuff is comedic content, and the best part is at the end, it turned out just about everything he said was accurate, and I was like, oh, great, this is going to be this will be fun.
Yeah, man. Kingdom Hearts 3 is... Thing is the story was pretty straightforward, but they started doing a ton of spin-offs. And I don't know why they took that route. It kind of worked out in a way because, for example, Birth by Sleep introduces Aqua Terra Ventus, who are characters people love. And they have... their fates are going to play a big part of Kingdom Hearts 3's story, so it's kind of good they're in the picture. But on the other hand, I think things would have been much more simple if they had not done 40 spin-offs, because I think Dream Drop Distance is one of the worst things to happen in the series. It kind of just resets everything. and that pissed me the fuck off. So that's one that you still should just play because the ending is important. And actually, in that game, once you beat it, there is a Kingdom Hearts 3 teaser, and it's when they teased 1.5 HD remix. But yeah, like I said, 2.8 is also important. So you got some work cut out. You played Kingdom Hearts 1, so that's good. You got the general premise now, and it gets confusing after that. Because there's like Sora, who's got 5 different forms of himself running around. People are like, well, who's him and who's him and who's him? So that I wish you good luck with.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Because
there's a good. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, you thought studying for like college or something would be fucking tough for that big test coming up, but then Kingdom Hearts trying to summon that same information that you just took in, like you see a character and trying to connect where he is from, like good luck. It's ridiculous. I mean,
not to skip too far ahead, but I keep up with the Fate series, so if I can do that, I can probably handle Kingdom Hearts.
Okay. Yeah, I've heard that one gets pretty wild. So,
yeah, what's the Fate series? Is that an anime?
Yeah.
It started as a game and then turned into an anime, and there's been like at this point, God, I don't know, 7 or 8 different animes, and then a bunch of different. It started off as one of those visual novels where it was like a make your own journey, and there were multiple endings depending on like which page of the book you flip to, and it just devolved into a buttload of anime and games, and basically the story's just all over the place. Like you need a wiki up to follow it along while you're watching it.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I would suggest if somebody wanted to jump into this without doing all that, there are some videos that are okay to describe little elements, but also you can go to the Kingdom Hearts wiki and they actually have like a keywords, because that's another thing that happens in like, let's say Harry Potter, where if you jumped into the last one and they said Horcrux, you'd be like, they calling my mom names? Like you'd have no clue what that fucking term meant. And you could go to the wiki and find that out. And so I would suggest if you absolutely want to play 3, don't have the ability, because some people just don't have the systems to play 1 and 2. Like they just don't have any ability to do it. You could probably do YouTube and a wiki and sort of read up as you play. In fact, that might be really fun now that I think about it. For somebody who doesn't know the thing, to have a wiki there, play and sort of read up on the history as they play the game, that could be quite
Kingdom
fun.
Hearts always had Jiminy Cricket's journal, which you could go into and learn about like, every
in the
character and their backstory, like where they first appeared, what happened to them. So I would be shocked if Kingdom Hearts 3 didn't have something like that, which could give you all the information you needed in game, which would probably be a lot better than like posting your phone up on the pop socket and being like, all right, now let's look up who Vanitas is, right? Like it's, I think it would be a lot better if it was just in game. However, the thing that I remember with the codex, we'll call it, in Kingdom Hearts, was that it would update over time, so you'd have to go back into this very cluttered set of menus and like re-navigate to read like a new paragraph update on their story. And I would just love if their entire story up until that point was already in there, and then it would update as you went along through the events of the entire game, because that would be better. But yeah, from a gameplay standpoint, that's kind of the big reason why I always play Kingdom Hearts. It was fun to play. I came for the characters, their interactions, seeing Disney, that type of stuff, the music. Those were the devices that really brought me in the most compared to its story, which is endearing in its own way if you put the work in to understand it. But that's why I'm most excited personally. It's going to be a good time. And now, with Kingdom Hearts concluded, we move into a different segment than we've really ever done. So, Cowboy, thanks for breaking the mold on this. We're going to be talking about anime. So if you hate anime, this is your time to cut out. If you're interested in anime, or you want to learn more about anime, or you want to just talk about it with us, this is your chance. So, this is something that has been in the cooking pot for a while between Cowboy and I. I have no idea where this conversation is going to go, so I would like you to just lead us, Cowboy. Where do you want to start here?
I guess let's kick it off talking about new shows. That's always a good tangent. So, what are you watching this season?
For me, because I like my anime, I'm getting into it more. I've only started one new show because I had just finished watching Hunter x Hunter. So that was my first time going through that. And now for the new season of stuff, I actually started up recently Promised Neverland, which is really fucking good.
Yeah, that's definitely a spicy one, to say in the least.
I really like it. And usually I'm not okay, I gotta watch the next episode kind of guy. Especially with anime, I can stop myself at pretty much any point. Outside of Hero Academy was one I'm in love with, so that was really hard to stop. But when it came to Promised Neverland, I've never clicked next episode quicker. That shit was fucking good. I loved its use of camera angles. It was so different from any other anime I've seen. It was
the first episode also wraps up with like a massive twist. Like, I don't want to spoil anything on the podcast, obviously, but it's like you get to the end of the episode and you're just like jaw drop, like, okay, I need more now, please.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I that's how I felt, because I thought, okay, you know, I'm not the anime expert, where maybe my taste is different from others. So I told my friend Vinny, who's probably watched a fucking 1,000+ anime, go check this out. Tell me what you think. And he did, and he went, dude, that was a really good first episode. He was blown away. So that's when I knew, okay, there's got to be something special here. I think it's because what attracted me to this show when I first saw it was that it's not this, here's another anime group with powers and they're going to fight some big bad guy. It's, wow, these are orphans and they are really fucked. And that's it. I thought that was a really interesting, unique premise.
No, yeah, I vibe with that a lot too. Just the, you know, like they need to come up with organic, thought out solutions to solve a problem, as opposed to, you know, calling upon the power of the Seiya Star to get powered up and fight the bad guy, or whatever the case is.
I'm actually interested in checking out Seiya now, because I played the Jump Force beta, and the one character that I really loved playing was Saint Seiya.
Ah, the overpowered one, yes.
Yes,
very familiar with him.
Yeah, but I loved it, man, and I was like, okay, I kind of want to check out this show now. But so you really keep tapped in on anime. Then what new season anime would you recommend to people outside of, I guess, Promised Neverland, which seems to be high on your list?
Shield Hero.
Shield Hero.
Shield Hero. Basically, it's an isekai, which isekai are, well, it's the Rising of the Shield Hero is the full name, but isekai are anime where it's usually somebody that's pulled into an alternate world. So, you know, you have stuff like ReZero, you have Sword Art Online. Those are all isekais, and it's a really popular genre. But one of the big faults with it is every character is usually a Mary Sue. They have some kind of mystical power, or when they came to this world, God gave them, like there's a whole one where the guy goes to the world and he has a smartphone and God maxes his stats, and you see the guy like, oh, let me use Google Maps and search for enemies, and then I'll multiply my spell and kill all the enemies, and it's like, all right, this is just fucking ridiculous. But this show follows a guy, he's basically a regular jerk off, and he gets transported to this world, and they're like, you need to be a legendary hero, and he's like, I don't know anything. And there's 4 of them. He gets a shield, whereas the other ones get like a sword, spear, and a bow. So he's already like, what the hell am I supposed to do with a shield? You can't fight with this.
Right.
And it real quick, shit ramps up. He basically gets like betrayed. All of his money gets stolen. He's denounced by the kingdom, and it takes a really dark turn. So you have this like protagonist that, you know, basically has everything going against him. He still has a job to do, so he's going to make it work anyway. And so far, it's been really good. And I think one of the big things is the first episode, just to help set the stage, they kicked things off with basically like almost an hour-long episode. So,
oh wow, I've actually never seen that before.
Yeah, they really set the stage well, I think, as opposed to a lot of shows where, you know, you get that 20 minutes and then it's like, all right, when's the next one? I want to see more.
Right. That's
not to go
interesting.
too much, though.
That more than anything is what has my attention now, because usually you feel like they pile all this good shit into the first episode, obviously to get you invested and make you try to keep giving episodes chances down the line. Even Promised Neverland's kind of guilty of that, right? But that's cool that they kind of put all their eggs in one basket for the first episode and said, let's deliver a real complete introduction to the characters here and then continue the story afterwards. And the episodes are standard anime length, they're usually 20 minutes after that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, Karak, what about you? What is your history with anime?
Record of Lotus War? Lotus War. You guys remember that? Ancient.
I do.
Super old.
Yeah,
so,
old mech show, right?
Yeah, and then Robotech, Macross. That's pretty much it. That's I've watched a couple because of Maddie. I watched what was that? Samurai Champloo? Actually, I watched all of that.
Okay.
And that's it. Most of the time, I more of like a cartoon fan, like 1980s, like Transformers. I've never been able to get into anime.
See,
I've seen like the movies, but
because there's kind of on that note, it's a newer show that came out called SSSS Gridman, and it actually
I'm looking all these up as you guys talk. By the way,
yeah,
that's what
it's kind of a throwback to the old giant robot versus monster movies that were so popular in Japan back in like the 90s and the 80s. And cool. So you have, I mean, the story's, kind of a meh story. This guy, he wakes up with amnesia. He's kind of the chosen one. He's Gridman. But so he transforms into this Ultron looking dude. And then he can combine with other people to like get extra parts or get a sword. And it's definitely a good kind of throwback.
This one actually looks
anime.
right up. Yeah, this one actually looks right up my alley. To be honest, I need robots for some reason. Or like the giant robots help me to sort of enjoy it. Also, I'll be honest, anime creeps me out a little bit.
Oh yeah, no, there's definitely
the look,
slow roll.
Yeah, and so it has to be like robots always works for me. Like in some of the ones Maddie suggested, I've watched, like a little bit of, but it just depends. It just depends. This one looks awesome.
What do you mean?
Yeah,
do you mean like legitimately like, oh, this is creepy?
Well, most shitty cartoons are usually 24 frames per second, like older 1980s cartoons. So there's sort of a jankiness to them. Right. The slick motion in anime, there's a term for it, and I can't remember what it is, but it's like, it's not a phobia, but it looks creepy. It's almost like when you take a cartoon and overlay it on a human, like the old Lord of the Rings cartoon, which fucking freaked everybody out because it was real humans with graphics overlaid on them, and it looks very uncanny, and it starts to tell your brain this is real, but it's not. For whatever reason, a lot of anime gets me that way, and then I always make the mistake of watching the anime with some weird fucking tentacle creature, fucking bird, like I'm not gonna. Everybody will be like, "Hey, you should watch this." Samurai was fine. I had no problem with that, but there's been a couple where friends have suggested it, and after 15-20 minutes, even Akira, I was a little like fucking big eyeballs coming out. I was just like, all right, I'm done. Like, I don't know why. There's always been this little a little bit of discomfort when watching them for whatever reason.
Yeah, I'd say Gridmans. What about Maddie? Have you ever told them about Gurren Lagann?
Never even heard of that.
See, that's another good mech one that
just Gurren Lagann.
Yeah, Guren. It's another like following the journey of this dude who basically it ends up becoming a mech anime, and it starts off kind of slow, but it ramps up into probably one of the best mecha animes ever made. Like,
very cool.
Like,
there was a
I can deal with this. This kind of animation for Gurren Lagann. I think I'm pronouncing it right. That I can deal with for sure.
There is a sci-fi one that I can't remember the name of. I only watched 3 episodes of it, but it was
just
very
describe it, and I could probably.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's exactly what I was about to do. I was totally trusting your abilities. It's like 1980s themed. I think it was originally a movie from Japan. They brought it to the U.S. They split it up into a show. I think Star was actually in the name.
1980s.
I want to say 1980s or 70s. Kind of remastered it. It's about a guy who he was on a spaceship.
Are you talking about Cowboy Bebop? Or no, you're talking about not Bebop, but I know it's Star Outlaw.
No,
or Outlaw Star. Outlaw Star. He's like a bounty hunter, and he has a spaceship and a whole gang with him.
No, because like his brother was on a planet with a crashed ship, and I think his brother died, and then he flies this ship and lands on that planet and on this mission and finds his brother dead. There's a episode where this grounded ship has like giant turret cannons along it, and they shoot it up into the sky on some enemy that's about to attack them from very far away. I wish I could fucking remember it.
Outlaw Star looks up my alley. The other one that I forgot I did watch a bunch of was the fucking dude with the Navy destroyer that's in space. Captain fucking Sparlock or whatever the fuck his name is. I can't remember. Starlock, is that what it is? Yeah, I did watch a bunch of that. Really liked that, actually. To be honest, that I really liked.
I mean, I know, and on the note of Samurai Champloo, they just rebooted. It's on Amazon. It's called Dororo, and it was actually a cartoon back in the '60s that followed a manga, and they've rebooted it as an anime series, and it's basically Sekiro in anime form. You have this guy who's his dad made a deal with devils. The devils took the organs of his unborn son, so the kid comes out like limbless and whatnot. And the anime follows his journey, killing these demons to get back his organs.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, I'm looking at that right now, Dororo. This is Amazon?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's on Prime.
Oh, good. Good, I've got Prime.
I'm trying so hard to find this right now.
The one I didn't get a chance to see, and I know Maddie's said it was awesome. I don't think, Cowboy, I don't think we talked about this last podcast, but did you like Castlevania? The Castlevania one that was on
Castlevania
Netflix?
was the first season is good, but very short. It's only 4 episodes. But I like Castlevania a lot. Like, more than anything, it got me hyped for, I want a new Castlevania game now.
Oh, gotcha.
But yeah, Castlevania was really good, and it was actually refreshing because that's a full English studio. Like, it's anime style,
Right.
but that's American media.
Kind of
so
like
it's good to
RWBY
see.
in a way, I guess.
I mean, I'm not a giant fan of Ruby, but
Fair enough.
I mean, to the extent that Ruby is an American studio as well, yes.
Yeah, that's
But
more
the
so,
animation
yeah.
is completely different. The story's completely different. But yeah, Castlevania was a very nice foray by Americans into the realm of anime, I think.
That's very cool.
I keep seeing Steins Gate, Cowboy Bebop, Parasite the Maxim. That's a really good one. I love Parasite.
Parasite's dark.
Yeah. Now, you want to talk about dark? I've heard. I'm going off just what my friends told me that Goblin Slayer, like the first episode.
No.
was just-
All right, so let's talk a second about Goblin Slayer. This anime started off, and it's not necessarily bad, but it started off with the shock factor of a young girl getting raped by goblins in the first episode.
Right. That's what I.
And yeah, there was a ton of media backlash on it, but the main reason was because the show didn't say any of that. And it's a recurring theme throughout it that establishing what depraved creatures these goblins are, and it really blew up. And I mean, it's not necessarily a bad show, but it definitely wasn't one of the better shows. Like, it was a good show, but it wasn't like, it's not going to beat any history books. It's not Cowboy Bebop. I mean, there's a lot of really dark stuff out there. You have like Elfen Lied, that's pretty messed up. I think the classic is Neon Genesis Evangelion, which that's getting rebooted. Well, it's not getting rebooted. I think it's being remastered or something, but they're bringing the full series back. And that's one of those where it's like, you need to, I feel like you need to be through at least 10 or 15 animes before you try watching Evangelion. So it's one of those shows that you're just like, what the fuck is going on in this? This is way too goddamn deep for what's happening here. I mean, let's talk about, kind of on that note, starting with anime. So, I mean, my personal go-to has always been Cowboy Bebop. It's slick animation, it has catchy music, it has a likable cast, and actually a really good story. I think that's one of the kind of all-time famous animes. Going more into kind of the shonen realm, how you were mentioning like Hero Academia, like Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, another really, really solid, long-standing one that has good characters, good animations, good fights. And then once you get a hang of it, that's when you start going into more. Which one? What was it
I
called?
think it was called. This is a movie though, but I know it was split up, and I think it had like a different name, but it was called Farewell to Space Battleship Yamato.
Space Battleship Yamato. That's what I was talking about earlier.
That was it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one I was talking about. I've seen that one.
Okay.
That's the one I've seen.
I'm pretty sure that was it because I remember that. The
gotcha.
Space Battleship Yamato. I remember that.
Yeah, that's an old school.
It's old school. Yeah. That I'm just looking it up right now, just to make sure. Yes, that is for sure it.
My go-to recommendations has always been what got me into anime, which was Attack on Titan. I think because for a while I was one of those kids who, I like Pokemon, I like Dragon Ball, I like Naruto, and then they're like, but I don't like anime. Oh, well, do you know those are anime? I go, oh, they are. So I do like anime. And a lot of people are like that. So I consider what an introduction like that would be, such as Attack on Titan, to be a gateway anime, I call it.
Yeah.
Where there's just really cool characters, action, an interesting story.
Yeah, good shock in the start. Yeah.
I was gonna say,
I'd agree with that.
It shows you off the bat, okay, anime is a good, enjoyable medium, and there is a bit of a stigma attached to it, I guess. Because I think it's also shown in Promised Neverland, where often we see these in every anime introduction, characters like running and jumping through trees and doing cool badass stuff with long swords and shit. And I think that's kind of the go-to cliche. and then you see in Promised Neverland, wow, this is just a self-contained story about kids in an orphanage, and it's not about superpowers, at least from what I know, not yet. I really like that no one's got these special abilities. It's just a really not touching, that's not the right word, but
it's just an interesting
concept.
premise. Yeah,
it's a very disturbing concept if you were there, but an interesting premise as a viewer.
Well, I think that's a problem with a lot of people that want to get into anime. You see all this like Nissan, but that's like so many anime. It's like there's always the little sister that's in love with the brother, and it's like why do you like this so much, Japan? And the little like lollies. On the good side, there's actually a lot of really good stuff out there that doesn't have that trash. But it's that's the hard part with anime. Every season you get 10, 15 new shows, and it's sorting through the garbage to find the stuff that's enjoyable.
Yeah, that's why I think part of it is I feel anime is such a team effort because I have a friend who watches so much of it that he can kind of guide me, where probably you said you keep up with Fate a lot, so hear me out, but the worst anime I think I've watched was Fate. Was it Fate Stay Night? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, Fate just goes all over. There's a lot of tropes.
I just thought Fate Stay Night was really average.
Yeah,
there were some cool action scenes, but I thought overall there was potential within these characters that they did nothing with. The overall story was never grabbing me at any point. And it was just fun action when there was some. So that's it served its purpose in that way, but that was definitely the most average one. So if that's the most average one I've watched, I've been steered in a pretty good direction, I'd say.
What about One Punch Man?
That's one that I was actually going to start that this weekend.
That's going to be one, Karak, you'd probably vibe with this one too.
One Punch Man?
One Punch Man. It's a show about this.
One Punch Man.
He it's this guy.
Sorry, I'm looking at this right now.
Yeah. He just trains, and he basically gets so powerful that he can't get a challenge. Like every fight he gets in, he defeats them with one punch. But the show the animation is good, the story's good, there's good jokes throughout it, and that's actually finally slated for a season 2 in the next couple months. But that's another good like introductory anime, I think, for even folks that don't watch anime. Like my one friend, the only thing he's familiar with is Dragon Ball. And
I was just about to say, would you compare it to Dragon Ball? Because Dragon Ball Z is my favorite. It's absolutely, like, even after I've watched a ton, it's not that they're not better in Dragon Ball Z, because there are plenty that are better in it, but I guess that series I feel was so iconic. And I love so much about it, from its characters. I love the art, and everything.
Yeah, Dragon Ball is very much, I think, if you were to like look at a statistic of like everyone's first anime, I think Dragon Ball probably hits the mark for a huge amount of people, especially because it was one of the first super popularized animes here in the West. So much so that people didn't even, like you said, people didn't even realize it was anime. They were just like, oh yeah, that's Dragon Ball. I watch that in the mornings on Saturdays.
It associated itself in a way, which is cool.
Yeah.
What I was going to say is, would you say, for example, that One Punch Man would be a good first anime? Because I love Dragon Ball in a way because I love Goku, and I like his, kind of like what you said with One Punch Man. He's always training because he gets so strong that there's no challenges. In Dragon Ball, the theme is always Goku gets to a new height. He meets an opponent whose base value is pretty much way better than Goku at highest power, so Goku has to elevate. And that's kind of the theme every single time. Like, we just even saw it in Broly. Like, one of Goku's best versions was nothing, and Broly matched him in like 15 minutes. It was crazy.
So Broly is OG, man.
He really is.
He's my main in Dragon Ball FighterZ. Dude, the hyper armor just trounces people.
No, I can't talk. I was a 16 main for the longest fucking time.
Dude, I run 16 as my third just to go for the cheeky one-shot kill on people.
No, wait, hold on. You probably got, I'm gonna guess your third member. All right, if you're running those two, you gotta be running someone else who's really fucking whack. I'm going to go with Bardock.
Not cooler.
Cool. Okay. I respect that.
Got out of the Beefy Boy squad, man.
I respect that, because I thought you were going to have like another character that's just busted.
No. I really like the combos of Cooler. He's a nice like melee heavy, but he has some cool energy finishers. I play characters mostly for flavor. I've just always loved.
Oh, dude, my squad is Like when I played it at launch, I've changed my squad so many times. When it launched, though, for a while I mained. It would be Trunks, Goku, Super Saiyan Goku, I should specify, and 16. That was kind of like the main squad I rolled with for probably 70 hours.
I gotta see, Karak's got these faces. I'm curious what clips he's looking at.
No, so because I think I told this to Maddie, because I think I chose characters. I could be wrong, but I think I chose characters he didn't like, but I love Dragon Ball FighterZ, and I played the baby. He looked the giant
Goten?
fucking baby.
Yes,
Gotenks, and then the cat. Gotenks,
Beerus.
yes, and I think somebody, it may not have been Maddie, but somebody was all over me about, and I can't even remember. Everybody's got a different reason why they hate.
They're respectable picks.
Yeah,
because I'm flavor too. Like I want them to look cool or funny in Injustice or what have you. And when this giant fucking fat baby showed up, I'm like, dude, he's
Boo.
my character forever.
Boo.
But is it Boo? It's with just super
the big pink guy.
Yes.
Yeah.
The fat one.
Oh yeah.
Fat Boo.
I love him and the cat guy. And then the other ones I would pick random. Android 16 or whatever his name is. 56, 16, 17. I can't fucking remember. Right, 16. I was right the first time, wasn't I?
You were.
It Android?
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, I got one right. But I picked for flavor for sure, especially in that game, because it was so over the top and so like awesome. I just fucking dig that game, even though I think it's a little busy sometimes.
Yeah.
But I just adored some of the goofy ass fucking like character designs in that, and I liked them all. I think the other one I picked, did I pick? Was it Vegeta?
Vegeta.
I picked somebody that people were like, you picked a too powerful character or something like that. I can't remember what it was.
That's a game where, in my opinion, as long as you're not picking Bardock or Goku Black or Broly, sorry, Cowboy, you're probably in a good spot for not having a really busted pick. That comes off the top of my head, because Bardock he has a low health pool, but he hits so fast and so hard.
His combo potential is just
insane.
Goofy.
Yeah, he's easily, in my opinion, the best character in the game. Because his
I really liked
or square is so fucking good.
I dig the fuck out of that game, man. Like,
yeah, I love how they.
So good.
The control scheme for it too, I think, is one of the best things, because you can really pick up any character. Like, there's enough individuality to like learn movesets and learn combos, but at a basic level, you can pick anybody, and as long as you understand like how to do, like X for your regular moves, triangle for your other moves, like you can just roll with it very fast.
Hey, if you guys are excited about fighters, did you know this weekend is the fighters tournament, and
yes,
they're gonna
indeed,
announce season 2 along with the Dragon Ball Z game.
I did. I don't watch them live, but I usually end up watching the highlights just to see the ridiculous potential of combos.
Yeah,
right.
See,
but
this one I'm actually going to be
it's
tuning
embarrassing
into, because I wanna cover the Dragon Ball action RPG whenever it's announced, because it's an RPG and that's my fucking bread and butter. And if it's Dragon Ball, I really want to just get in on that. But yeah, man, I know that Jiren was confirmed for season 2. And I'm imagining if Jiren is confirmed, then they're probably going to do Ultra Instinct Goku as the other side of the character. But I feel like season 2 is really going to focus on the universe survival arc.
It'll be...
Or saga? Arc.
I just hope they're not too OP. I feel like that's kind of a problem you see with fighting games.
DLC and fighting games, yeah.
Yeah, like For Honor is super guilty of it. Every time they have a new hero, it's like just everybody's cheeks get clapped by this brand new guy, because he has movesets that the originals just can't compete with at all.
Right. They don't balance them well at all. I don't know what it is. It usually takes 3 or 4 balancing patches after a new... It even happened in fucking Injustice. And it happened in Mortal Kombat when the different DLC comes out, and you're like, Jesus Christ.
Out of curiosity, do you think that stuff is intentional to an extent? And the reason I ask that is because...
To get you to do it?
Does
get
you to do it, but does a
developer
want to sit there and dedicate extra time to making a shit character? Wouldn't it be more frustrating if a developer released... I'm saying this because I've never thought of it this way, but if a developer released a DLC character, I was like, God, this one sucks. He's fucking awful, or she's fucking awful.
Yeah, you're not going to buy him.
Yeah, exactly. But if she's good,
I'd say it is.
buy it now and then tweak it later.
I know
Injustice has Hellboy, and he was terrible. He was beyond belief terrible.
Yes.
So that's it just dawned on me. Do you remember him, Maddie?
Yeah.
When he got he was horrendous. So, but I agree with you. I think they do, or at the very least, Yeah, no, they probably do. Right. I mean, there's really no reason not to do it because you can just say, hey, here's the new guy. And everybody's playing him because they're like, wow, he's really good. And then they look at it and they're like, okay. And then they slowly patch him down.
For Blizzard's MOBA, Heroes of the Storm, every time they would release a new hero, they would be, in competitive play, they were instantly banned because every single hero would come out disgustingly overtuned and able to almost wipe an entire team. And then after 3 weeks or so, when the character wasn't brand new, then they would tone it down after they got that initial, I want this new guy now, I'll pay $10.
Smite had a similar issue. I remember Chernobog came out, that one was really busted, and he almost gets banned in every match if the players can pick what gods they want to ban. I haven't played in a couple of months, so I don't know how King Arthur turned out or the new assassin that they released it turned out. But what's funny is PlayStation released a thing that you could use to round up your stats for the year. You could see your top 3 most played games. You could see what genre you played the most of, how much how many days of the year you played PS4, all this type of stuff. It's actually really cool to just sign into your account and see all the shit you did. And Smite was my most played game last year.
What was your most played game?
Smite.
It's like a third-person MOBA.
Yeah. No, I was just
hours.
really surprised. Wow, really? Yeah. Even amongst.
Yeah. All right. That's what I thought. And my top 3 was fighters. This one was weird. Call of Duty, which I don't sit there and grind COD. I play game battles, so it counted times where I was just sitting idly in the lobby.
You can't lie to us, Matty. PlayStation knows you actually love Activision Call of Duty. All right.
No shit, right?
No, I know, and people have probably crucified me for that one, but and then
I watched you. You streamed it too,
yeah,
because I watched you on stream playing it a couple times, if not once, at least once.
I did because I did say before. I think I've said it before. If not, then this will be the moment I say it. That I do think Black Ops 4 is good. I like. Black Ops 4.
I like Black Ops 4.
Yeah. And then the last one was Dragon Ball FighterZ. I had 120 in that.
Ooh.
Right.
I don't have that much, but
I fucking love that game.
I have one of my new neighbors, I shouldn't say new, he moved in like a year and a half ago, but a young couple that moved in, and me and the guy instantly hit it off. We were talking about Dragon Ball, and now once a month we have a showdown to see who's the dominant in fighters for that month. And it's we'll do 9 rounds or something, and currently I'm in the lead. He has not been able to beat my Broly, but we're coming up on our battle, and I haven't played in basically since the last time, so I'll have to get in about 4 hours of practice, make sure I still got my skills.
Now hold on. Are you one of those people who, even if you're blocking and you do your quarter circle forward, I think it's triangle or Y, you do that grab move where you drag someone into the corner. Does that work even if they're blocking?
Yeah. Oh, if I remember correctly. Because you can do that, and then after that I usually go into the kick-up aerial combo that you end with his giant ball of knock you the fuck out. And it works very effectively. Here's a
present for you, and he fucking... Or is that his ult?
Yeah.
That might be his ult.
Yeah, the ult. But you can do it's like a 16-hit aerial combo, and you can do a couple of you can feed in a couple of key blasts, and if you do the fast one as opposed to the slow one, you activate it in air, and you actually catch them with the ball, so they take damage the whole time the ball's traveling, and the explosion for a KO.
Man, I like you less all of a sudden.
Well, yeah, we never played each other. I might actually be potato if you've put in that many hours.
I haven't played in a decent amount of time. I played it a couple days ago, but I also have stepped away from the squad that I usually main now because, like you said, for flavor. I was saying this early, but I think I never finished my sentence. But now my squad is Android 16, 17, and 18. I just run full Android.
Oh, that's cool.
It's fucking awesome.
I like that idea. Yeah, that's very cool. Very cool.
The only thing that kind of bugs me is that you're playing as Android 17 from the Universe Survival Saga, or I keep saying it, Arc. But then you have 18 and 16 who are from the original Android Arc.
Yeah, it's a little weird.
Yeah.
Why is this not?
Especially because Android 18 has an ability, of multiple abilities, where she can call in Android 17, and when he comes in, it's Android Arc, Android 17.
Yeah, it's the OG one.
Yeah.
I thought they were going to add, I didn't think they were actually going to add him. I thought they were going to add Super 17 when he got put into the game, and it was regular, and I was kind of like, wait, what? Why not? Because Super 17 is he's not a super well-known villain, but, we got Cooler in there. We got Broly, who's finally canon now.
Yeah, I feel this season 2 is where we're going to see them step out into some interesting territory with the characters. I think they were adding the Gokus, the Vegetas of every form, But I think season 2 we're gonna see them dig deeper because they have to now. Like, yeah, we're gonna see Jiren and Ultra Instinct Goku because it's timing out with the English, the English part of Dragon Ball Super, because that's still not done yet.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's why they're gonna do that first, and then after that, I'm sure we'll see Raditz. I'm surprised we haven't seen him yet, but because how can you have Nappa? You can have,
but not Raditz,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
You have OG, and we have original Goku and original Vegeta too. So it's like
exactly, and so you need Raditz. So Raditz, he's got to happen. I would be curious because they have so many versions of Goku and Vegeta. If they did a version of Broly from the movie.
Yeah, I was thinking about that too because they definitely changed them up in the game. Right now, at least, we have kind of like OG Broly, like big, beefy, smash you, and in the movie, he was definitely
Broly at that.
Yeah,
because
he was a lot slimmer in the movie. Like, I mean, I know he always had his untransformed version, but even his transformed version didn't seem as like uber muscled as the original Broly did.
Did you love that movie as much as I did?
Probably not as much as you, but I did love it.
Okay.
I did love it. It was everything I expected, but I don't know if I can compete with your level of Dragon Ball fandom. So.
Don't say it like that. It's probably true. Yeah. As for other DLC characters and fighters, who else could they add? Yeah, because here's the thing: is some characters have support, like Ginyu. They have Ginyu in there.
Is Gogeta in the game? They added
Vegito,
but they didn't add Gogeta yet.
Okay, there's one.
They might do him as Super Saiyan God instead of. That could actually work. Instead of adding another Goku and Vegeta, they add Super Saiyan God Gogeta along with the new Broly.
I would like that. I think.
And then I could have a Broly and a Broly in my lineup. Oh my god,
no.
twice the cancer.
No. Golden Frieza, Janemba. That would be dope.
Janemba would be cool. Janemba's a really cool villain. I feel like he didn't. I mean, he was only in that one movie, but
yeah, I'm just looking at like my old cards and seeing if anyone pops out. Dodoria, Zarbon. Zarbon would be cool. I feel like I've seen Zarbon in a leak in the past. I don't know why. I'd love for Whis to be playable for once. Because you never see Whis fight. You see him even in Broly, they tease us. You see him like dodging Broly's attacks.
Yeah.
And I just want to see Whis fight one time. That's all I want. They have multiple forms of Piccolo. I guess they could do. But
yeah, but Piccolo's kind of turned into the meh guy. Yeah.
No, I hate that too. Him and Gohan got ruined in Super.
Yeah. They took him.
King Cold?
I don't know. I think that'd be a stretch.
Yeah. Hit they have.
They could always go Ginyu Force, like full Ginyu Force. They did that with a lot of the Xenoverse games.
Well, they have Ginyu who can call in the Ginyu Force.
Yeah, true. So they probably wouldn't add him as full characters. But I mean, you can call in like 17.
True.
What about old Cells? They could add the older versions of Cell instead of just Perfect.
I would like that.
They would probably just do non-transformed.
No, you know what they got to do? They got to do like Kale, Caulifla, Kaba. They got to do them. 100%. I feel. Because people loved Universe 6. Love them. So I would like to see those guys added and girls. That'd be interesting. Anyway,
so funny. I love how we started talking about Dragon Ball.
I was gonna say
instantly devolved into yeah.
I
mean that just goes to show how strong Dragon Ball is kind of that, you know, it's like a gateway drug into the world of anime.
It really is. I still recommend it to people to this day. Just don't expect anything out of this world animation wise. It's not as good as it once was, but they do some cool tricks to like show speed in that show that the technology just couldn't do. Like in Broly, we see like the character moving at this fast speed, and you can feel it because the environment's moving too with the camera. But in actually watching Z again, because I'm on episode I think 40, like watching again how they make speed an actual thing. It's really cool how they do it. Like camera angles are a really important part of that. I've noticed. It's awesome.
No, yeah, Dragon Ball definitely takes they take a lot of time and care in their fights, and then obviously, you know, a lot of the other stuff you get kind of potato animation, but that's how it is with just about any show. You know, you have your
Did you like Super?
Um,
As I look back on it more, I didn't like it as much.
yeah.
I thought the first 70 episodes were just Goku and Vegeta, and I was like, okay, I like these characters, but the whole other part of the cast was also why I really loved this show.
Yeah.
And they do give them their love at the end, but
It just took a while to get there is all,
yeah.
so.
And I know the animation, a lot of people, when I started watching more Dragon Ball YouTubers, it seemed like a lot of people took issue with animation in that show.
With what part of it? Just
I
they just
know
felt it was subpar.
I had heard someone mention specifically in a video, it was Geekdom, I think, episode 5, apparently, for Super was abysmal.
Well, I think part of it is the start of Super was kind of like getting America in it a little bit late because there were all the movies basically covered what we did. So they were like trying to, catch an audience up. And I wouldn't say it was filler, but they basically made it like it was, if that makes sense.
Right.
So, now it's at the point where it's like, it's, I don't want to say super prime, but we're in like the prime time of it, but it took a while to get there. So
yeah, because they had confirmed pretty much that, well, it was confirmed by their actions, and then the animators had come out and said, like, it's not true, we're not doing that, but it's pretty much, we know new episodes of Super are in development, so that's good to know, and that they're apparently have been pre-producing it since October, so that's even better to hear.
But you got some other kind of shows, because I would, Dragon Ball very much is kind of like the king of shonen. It's been around forever, but like you said, there's a lot of other stuff. You got Naruto in that bucket. One Piece falls into that bucket.
I just don't find.
I never really meshed with Naruto. I think one of my all-time favorite shows. It's well known, but not a lot of. I mean, it's weird to say it's well known and not well known at the same time. But it's a show called Gintama.
I've heard of it.
Yeah, it's like the Deadpool of anime. The whole show is just like constant fourth wall breaks and making for like there's episodes where
that's interesting.
Yeah, there's episodes where the main character talks about, he's like, when am I going to get my special? When are those guys over at Jump going to give me my Kamehameha? And like they blurb it out and stuff just for comedic effect. But he's like, he does like fake Kamehamehas, and there's like spoof episodes where they're finding like the one pan instead of the one piece, and the whole thing is just it's like a comedy anime, but it's a shonen at the same time, and it's
nice.
I don't know. I think if you wanted to try getting into a long series, I think it's a lot more appreciated by an older audience, like late 20s into 30s.
Yeah,
but that's a really interesting
I'm
one.
like terrified to get into a long series. I watched Hunter x Hunter, and I get why people love it. It is a great show in many ways, but there is such a lack of narrative focus on that show. It's pitiful at times.
I mean, it could be worse. Hunter x Hunter, I think, wrapped up at a decent time. You have stuff like Bleach. Bleach is one of those shows that it didn't end when it was supposed to, and you could tell, like, even just especially once you get past like kind of the finale with Aizen and the bad guy. It's like they're just coming up with new reasons to continue the show, and you can tell because the writing begins to go downhill. And it's the same thing with like the Boruto. Like a lot of people I know that were hardcore Naruto fans, the whole Boruto adventure, they're like, I don't give a shit about this. I don't care about your son. I cared about I watched Naruto grow up, and I watched him become Sage of the Sixth Path and these badass battles. But I don't care about his kid. I didn't come here for his kid. But there's this huge fandom, and so they feel a need to keep it going.
No, that's very true. I guess, my issue with Hunter x Hunter was that there were some parts where they broke away from like what the main story was about, and I didn't get why they would do that. I know Greed Island, a lot of people took issue with, but a lot of people didn't. I also didn't like in the Chimera arc how some parts were fully narrated, the like entire episodes. It kind of felt like the show was holding my hand. They didn't trust me to put pieces together while watching it all unfold. Some people did like that, though. So I guess some people advise with them better than myself. But with Hunter x Hunter, York New was my favorite arc. I thought, because I think Kurapika's the shit. I think he's so cool. And I thought his motivations were interesting. And going and KotOR are like neck and neck with like second place. So I guess part of me was a little ticked that they had like these characters on the front of the show, like here's the group of 4, and then 2 of them are just pieced out for like most of the show. It was really odd to me, but I feel it's because while creating the show, even in the last episodes, Like they were teasing that Kurapika's up to something else. Like you see him with the eyes of the Curva, just chilling there with a fucking full suit on. Like he's been going through some shit.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, okay, it's very clear that they had plans for this show and just went on hiatus. So
yeah, well, that's the problem with a lot of shonens. You know, you want to have this huge cast, and you want to have people that can, compete with your main character and that are just as powerful. You want to keep that power ceiling at a certain point, but at the same time, you want to give everyone their amount of screen time. Which is, I think, what makes so many people like My Hero. I think My Hero does a really good job of that.
So it does.
Like fleshing out each character, and each person is very individual, but at the same time, you're still cheering on, little Midoriya. So
Young Midoriya. Yeah, bro, I fucking love Hero Academy. That is, out of any new anime, that is probably my favorite.
Because you got All Might, the big old American dude, just United States of Smash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's sick, but I think you hit the nail on the head. I couldn't add more to it. The big reason I fell in love with Hero Academy is that side characters did not feel like side characters, and that I cheered for them as much as I did for Deku. And I didn't expect that ever. And I also didn't expect that first episode to be as engaging, because I knew it was going to be. It was when I got into it. There was 60-something episodes out. I don't think, or no, season 3 had not started, I want to say, yet. So I flew through that show and stuck with all of the new episodes. And I just remember really appreciating how every character kind of gradually got an origin story episode, and it didn't feel forced. Like, okay, here's a filler episode and we're just going to give you Bakugo's backstory. It was paced well with the show, and it felt like it was his time. Now it's Uraraka's time. Let's focus on her a little bit. It has really some of the best pacing and character building of almost any show I've seen.
See, now when the Anthem beta doesn't work this weekend, everyone's got a list of shows they can go and sink their teeth into.
Yeah, absolutely. I know a lot of the patrons like anime, so we got some good recommendations coming for them, because they'll have early access today, which means that they will have the whole weekend to take advantage.
I mean, there's actually a lot of good stuff this season. I talked about Rising the Shield Hero. You mentioned Promised Neverland. Boogie Pop and Others got a reboot, which is a show. It's like supernatural-ish horror mystery. It was a show made back in the day, and I want to say it was the early 90s, but they rebooted it, and it's pretty dark. Like the first arc follows this. It's a chimera basically that's like pretending to be girls in this high school so it can eat other students.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, and then on the flip side, you got some. Like, I think one of my favorites, and this is a huge departure from everything we've talked about, but it's a slice of life anime. It's called My Roommate is a Cat, and it's a show about this guy who's just
Karak's face. He's like, what the fuck?
I mean, it's
I love the name of it though. It probably is exactly what it says.
No, yeah, it's this guy who
is a cat. Okay.
Yeah, he's an author, and he ends up this stray cat just follows him home after he feeds it one day, and the show goes from the perspective of him to the perspective of the cat. And as somebody who has cats, it's just super fucking adorable. Like the whole show, I sit there with a dumb smile on my face, curled up with a blanket. It was like, this cat is so.
It's so funny because when we've hung out before, I see you fucking chugging beers and shit, and the thought of you cuddled up in a blanket watching this type of anime is fucking hilarious.
Oh, dude, yeah, I'm a massive weeb. The joke is that
I study Japanese, so
yeah, one day I'm gonna rebrand as Otaku Cowboy.
Oh man,
it'll happen.
That's fucking beast mode. I love it. All right, I think that was an hour almost dedicated to the anime section. So I mean, it might be.
I was noticing that. I looked at the time. I was like, "Damn, this is the danger of talking about anime."
Yeah, because we could keep fucking going if we really wanted to. We hope we gave you guys some good suggestions on what to watch. Get the conversation going a bit for those of you who do enjoy anime. And we'd love to hear from all of you in the comments, tweets, all that stuff. Be sure once again to check out Cowboy's channel. Give him some love, give him some support, and show him as much love for his microphone this time as people complained about it last episode, so we can make up the difference here.
No shit.
Thought I was going to be crucified.
Anyway, we will catch you guys next week in episode 188. Peace out.
Peace out.